the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell! Give 'em a hand! And let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town, of New York town.
Long time no see, Mets and baseball fans. Thank you guys all so much for chiming in. We're at over 400 viewers already. You guys are ready for another jam-packed live stream. Guys, we've live streamed just about 10 hours over the past day. And yes, the New York Mets did in fact get Max Scherzer. We're going to be going into a little bit further on the details and what exactly is next for the Mets in this live stream. A lot of reports have come out today as well regarding Mets having interest in certain players, and rather than doing individual videos about it today, at least maybe I'll do some tomorrow, I figured let's go into a live stream. Let's talk about everything, because obviously moves are continuing to be made by teams, including the New York Mets, leading up to the December lockout, assumably. So a lot is still transpiring for the Mets, even after getting that big fish and Mad Max Scherzer that I still cannot believe, and I don't think I will believe until the presser transpires. No less. We got a lot to get into today. It's a long list. I'm sure it's going to be a long stream again. So shout out to everyone first and foremost in the chat. If you're watching this live on replay, thank you guys so much for being here. Help us get a 300 likes for the first short-term goal. John, thank you so much for chiming in. Ethan, how's it going? Steven, great member on the channel. Northeast, how's it going? Julio, Julian, John, Justin, Eli, Joseph, Matthew, Maldo, Legendary Watermelon, Ian, Dominic, great member on the channel as always. Lefty, Enrique, my man, Oscar, Justin, Charlie, Robert, Paul, Ravens, Christopher, Matthew, and Sandy, great member on the channel. Blitz, Rory, Dervis, Kish, great member. Shraken, great member. T, Mookie, Simon, all you guys. Baseball, Jose, great member on the channel. Aaron, what's up, my man? Camp, all you guys. Matthew, Allen, my goodness, there's so many of you. Brian, thank you all so much to everyone first chiming in. Really, really appreciate you guys. And again, please don't take it personal if I miss a comment, question, or concern. I'm going to get to as many as humanly possible throughout the live stream, as always. But like I said, we got a lot that we got to get into tonight. So let's just dive in, folks. You guys know the drill by now. Oh my goodness gracious, what a day it has been in Mets land, right? Yes, the Mets got Mad Max Scherzer. I'm still not over it. I got to be honest with you. I had a feeling of wanting to live stream just all day long, but I just simply couldn't do it. I didn't even have a meal in me at all to start today when I did the live stream on Max Scherzer coming to the Mets. And, you know, live streaming 8 hours yesterday, it was not going to bode well. I was literally seeing stars by the time I was done with my live stream earlier on Scherzer. So glad that I got to recoup a little bit and all that fun stuff. But we got a lot to get into. As I said, hype in the chat to everybody. If you guys are first chiming in or watching this live, thank you so much for being a part of what has been a fantastic, nothing short of a fantastic offseason for our New York Mets. Appreciate everyone's kind words. I already see a donation, and I know it's from my good friend Tim. Tim, thank you so much again for the donation, my man. We are getting Baez tonight. Tim is feeling confident. Javy Baez will resign tonight. I love the optimism. I don't know exactly how accurate that is, but we'll definitely get into it all as always. Tim, thank you so much for the donation. Hype in the chat for Tim as always. Really, really appreciate the donations, folks. But as you can see, we got a lot on the list right now. A lot has transpired across the league, in case you guys aren't aware. And a lot of it regards to Texas Rangers. As we know, yesterday the Rangers went out and got themselves a massive pickup on that. I believe it was a 7-year deal, $175 million to Marcus Semien. Now they went out and got another shortstop, but this guy is, in fact, yes, Corey Seager. Seager signs a 10-year, $325 million. So a little short of the Francisco Lindor contract, but still no less, especially for Seager and him not being defensively sound. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put anything down on Seager personally, but this was a typical free agency overpay like no tomorrow. So the Rangers have proven their dominance. They got Semien. They got Seager. They got John Gray. What are the Yankees doing? Yeah, not much so far, huh? We'll see if that changes for them other than gain our boy for the Mets and Jose Peraza, the pinch hit king against lefty pitchers. But yes, does look like the Rangers have made some massive moves this offseason. They've already spent over $500 million in total worth of the contract. So I'm really curious to know what everyone's kind of initial thoughts on the Rangers' activity has been this offseason, because there was plenty of belief that the Rangers were going to be active, and we're aware of that. But my goodness, to not just get Semien, but to also get a guy like Seager, jaw-dropping stuff for them. So again, kudos to the Texas Rangers. They're trying to get back in the thick of things. They have a really underrated prospect pool, and I expect them to have a reasonable year next year. Again, I don't see them making playoffs just yet or anything like that, but they're on the right path to success, and they definitely locked up some massive names for sure. But again, I do have a donation in here from John. John, thank you so much. Rory, did I see the tweet about Gary Sanchez? I did see the notion about Gary Sanchez. That's why we have it on the graphic. We'll be getting into Gary shortly. I joked about it in the live stream earlier today. We'll get into it more. But yeah, hype in the chat to John as always. And Gravity, my man, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Guys, if you don't know Grav, what are you doing? If you guys are a hockey fan, this is the place to be. Make sure to check out my boy Grav, who's a fantastic hockey content creator, great friend of mine. It feels so good to be a Texas Rangers and Mets fan today, Rory. You're an absolute legend for last night. Yes, I really appreciate that. Hype in the chat again to Grav. Thank you so much for the donation, buddy. I hope you're doing well. I hope that everything's going well in the hockey realm for you too. But yeah, if you're a Rangers and a Mets fan, we're talking hockey right now. I know you like the Rangers. Pardon me. I know that you like the Rangers for hockey too, even though we're talking about baseball here. Yes, Texas Rangers and New York Mets both made massive splashes today over the past 24 hours. So hype in the chat to my boy Grav. If you guys know Grav, then you know he's an absolute real one. Hype in the chat to my boy Thomas as well, who's in the stream, great member on the channel. Same thing with William and all you guys. But I really just, again, wanted to know everyone's initial reactions to the Texas Rangers, because, again, we all knew that they were going to spend. It was just a matter of how much spending, right? They came in, they said, no, we're not going to take one big name infielder off the market. We're going to take two. And I'm really curious to see how they're going to shape up next year. Like, let's not forget the Texas Rangers were dominant, in the early 2000s, early 2010s, right? So they're now coming in a spot. They're in a rebuild type thing right now after trading Joey Gallo, doing the things that they did. Joey Gallo was already essentially on the trade block for the Yankees, which is kind of funny. And looking back, we'll see if anything comes of that. But Rangers made huge splashes. That you did a huge overpay, and I do believe that this is going to impact the Javy Baez market, which may not benefit the Mets. But again, we're going to see what comes of Baez. There's uncertainty as to if he's going to sign prior to the December lockout or after the December lockout. I personally think that there's a stronger likelihood of the Mets bringing Baez back if it happens post-lockout, potentially on a shorter-term deal, high AAV. But again, we're going to find out. I would love some Baez news tonight. All I'm saying is just don't get your hopes up. We're going to see how everything transpires at this point. I do see another donation, Bing Bond from Jose. Appreciate the donation, Bing Bond, indeed. Hopefully the Knicks get the dub over the Nets tomorrow. Again, not trying to, go do anything personal against my Nets fans in here, but if you're a real New York basketball fan, then yeah, you are in fact a New York Knicks fan, and that's just how it is. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you that is in fact how it is. But guys, Rangers make that splash. We know that. We got a lot to get into with the Mets, but I want to talk more on what has happened across the league, because I expect more moves to be had here today regarding other teams that will be during the live stream of. And another is the Mariners out of nowhere getting Robbie Ray, man. Robbie Ray was a guy that I know that the Angels have been in connection with. I know that the Mets have been in connection with, but I didn't think that Robbie Ray was likely for the Mets, not just one, because of the compensation pick, but two, also because of the fact that they landed Max Scherzer. It's hard to believe that they're going to land a guy on an over $100 million contract after landing someone like Scherzer already. But no less, he goes to the Mariners, and a little bit of a surprise. 5 years, $110 million. As we know, the Mariners were connected. I think that they had some interest in Gosman as well. They are deep in the pitching market. They would like to address that rotation, and that definitely helped them gain a guy like Robbie Ray today. And there is a opt-out, I believe. I'm almost Is it a play? It's a player option. I'm almost certain, not 100%. I think it's a player option after the third year of that contract. So keep that in mind. But another big fish starting pitching wise outside of Max Scherzer that was taken off the market today, and that was Robbie Ray. So shout out to Robbie Ray for making that happen. Absolutely. We got a $5 donation in here. Thank you so much, Edwin. Ain't that Bauer and his agent are taking some of the credit for the Scherzer deal? And I also agree, you are a legend. Oh, Edwin, you're a beauty. You're a legend, my man. Thank you so much for the donation. Hype in the chat for Edwin. As always, again, help us get a 300 likes for the first short-term goal, folks. Always appreciate it. And help us get a 12K subs. Like I said, we got more big content coming this week, more big live streams, more big individual videos, and a couple giveaways coming this week, too. So stay tuned for that little video when it comes out. Edwin, thank you for the donation. But Bauer saying he's taking credit for... Okay, I haven't seen anything of that. I really haven't been too active on Twitter today. Mainly because I don't know why, but Twitter did a lot of people dirty, including myself. I don't know if it was for just simply typing so much in caps over the past 24 hours because of Max Scherzer. But they had me on a 3-day suspension where I can't retweet, or follow people, which is really annoying. But it happened to a lot of other people too over this past night. I don't know what the reasoning is. I don't know if it's because of Jack Dorsey stepping down and they're deciding to be more strict randomly. No, all jokes aside, but we all know Twitter's a shit show. But for whatever reason, I'm having issues there. But the point I'm trying to make is I didn't see anything in regards to Bauer and Rachel Luba. I could see why they're trying to act as if they really helped present the market for his high AAV on his multi-year deal with the Dodgers with opt-outs after every year, I think. But no less, no. Look, Max Scherzer was getting the bag regardless, and Trevor Bauer deciding not to come to the Mets was the biggest saving grace he could have ever done for the Mets. Trevor Bauer not coming to the Mets was the best thing he could have ever done. It was better than him even coming to the Mets in hindsight, given what he's been, what has happened with him. And again, that's out of my jurisdiction. As I said, I'm not going to get into that stuff. But Bauer, that situation has nothing's gone pretty on his front this past year. Max Scherzer, however, third in Cy Young voting. Now he's a New York Met. Yeah, we got 5 Cy Young Award winners in total between DeGrom and Scherzer at the front of that rotation. Oh, baby, I'm excited. And the Mets are not done. So, like I said, we'll be getting into a lot more in this live stream on the Mets pitching options because they are still very much active in the pitching market. And it would not be surprised if they do something tonight. Would not be surprised if they do something tomorrow, really leading up to the lockout. They are active in the pitching market still, regardless of the fact that they just landed Scherzer. So, $2 donation here from Baez. Not Baez, Dave. It's because I read Baez. Baez, another pitcher, please. You and I both, Dave. I think you and I are on the same page. Dave, appreciate your kind support and generosity as always, my man. Thank you so much for that as well. And again, shout out to everybody in the chat. Everybody, pat yourself on the back. To all you OGs that were chiming in the live streams, earlier today with Max Scherzer coming to the New York Mets. I cannot wait to frame that from the New York Post, when they come out with the newspaper on. It's going to go right on my wall behind me. I don't know who to take. I'm going to take down Baez for now, just until the Mets hopefully resign him. And I got to put Scherzer on my wall behind me. It's got to happen. So I'm excited to get that newspaper tomorrow. But I really just want to shout everyone else out first and foremost. Guys, we did a roughly 8-hour live stream last night. And I finished the live stream at 3 a.m. with consistently 500 viewers at least. We peaked at 1.8K viewers. And we ended the live stream with still over 500 people illuminating. You guys are literally animals. I love the fact that I'm not the only one that feels as diehard and adamant about this club as you guys do. So I really appreciate it. And the endless generosity with the donations, the subscriptions, the support goes far beyond what you guys will ever understand from my standpoint. So thank you all so much. What a whirlwind of the past 24 hours. What a whirlwind of the past week it has been for the New York Mets. Single-handedly killing all narratives of, oh, no one wants to come to the Mets. Oh, this, that. Oh, no, go F yourself. Media, how about that? The Mets are top dogs. They're already acting like they got big pockets, bigger than, yes, the Yankees. And I said this when Steve Cohen gave him the ownership. He has the money. He's going to spend it, and people are going to be shocked. But again, if you've just been following along, even with everything bizarre that has happened with this club, don't get me wrong, a lot of bizarre things have happened with this team over the past year plus, over the past decades plus, right? During the Wilpons era. No less, when Steve Cohen came in, we all had an understanding. We all knew that great things would be happening. It was just a matter of time. And again, Rome isn't built overnight. The Mets still need more moves to be had here, and they still need to have success. But we can say that the Mets are in a direction right now where if things maybe don't go the way that they would hope for during the season, it's not for a lack of effort here. They're doing absolutely every single thing humanly possible to address this team, to make it better, and to really go on a deep playoff run starting next season, 2022. And damn, am I excited about that. Couple more donations. Joey, thank you so much. What's good? Mets need to sign Baez. Yes, I agree. Again, got Javy on the back. I want Javy re-signed. I really do. I have slight concerns on the Baez front, though, if I'm being quite frank with you guys. And we'll get into that throughout the live stream on the Baez reports, because they've been a little conflicting that I've seen throughout the day when I've been searching the web. Again, I haven't been as active on Twitter as I would like to be, just because I get ticked off when I realize I can't like anything. It bothers me, or retweet for that matter. But Joey, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Hype in the chat for Joey. And Penn Mets with the $10 donation. As long as the owner keeps making the team better, why care how much they overpay? With that said, great job by Rangers and Mets. Absolutely. Again, as long as it isn't a detriment to your club on how much you overpay, it doesn't matter. I agree. And that's the thing that I really stand firm with when it comes to, and get Penn Mets, thank you for the donation. You're the best, bite. In regards to Max Scherzer, I will touch on the further signings that you see on the graphic here shortly regarding the other teams, folks. But I need to go on a little bit of a tangent, a little bit of a rant, if you will, because yes, is there always risk involved when you sign a player? Is there risk involved when you sign a player that's in the latter half of his career, in his late 30s, and, even had a dead arm towards the end of the season in the playoffs against the Braves? Yes, there's always going to be concern. I understand that. But there's no denying that Max Scherzer was unanimously, in a class of his own, the best pitcher available in this market. And there is also no denying that Max Scherzer has consistently been a top pitcher in the game of baseball for over a decade. That's how consistent this guy has been. We've seen it how many times as Mets fans getting carved up by Max during his time with the Nationals, and then for a short time with the Dodgers. We know what Max does. In Citi Field or out of Citi Field, the guy absolutely shoves and pumps gas like no tomorrow. So to suggest that, okay, this is an overpayment, I do not give a rat's ass how much of an overpayment this would quote unquote be for Scherzer. At the end of the day, as long as he plays the way that we believe he's going to, between a 2.5 to 3-year rate, over 200 strikeouts easily, and that 1-2 punch between him and DeGrom, if he is that driving force that helps the Mets get a championship within the next couple of years, no one's going to be complaining. And in general, even if the Mets don't get there, but he plays like a stud that we know he can, there's no reason. There's so many reasons to be in favor of this and so little to be against. And let's also keep in mind, this isn't our money, okay? The Mets have made it so abundantly clear that they are confident with their payroll and blowing through the luxury tax threshold that Billy Epler even said a couple days ago that he's willing to take on big contracts to build prospect capital, to get a top prospect from an opposing team to take away a contract that they don't like, and just bury that contract, do whatever you want with that player, regardless on if he would be a starter, a guy on the bench, whatever it would be, and you get prospect capital. So if the Mets are willing to go that far when it comes to payroll flexibility, by all means, we should not be worried about this Scherzer contract, and I will take that to my grave, folks. I cannot emphasize that enough. It's frustrating as all hell when I keep seeing that, because one, this isn't our money. You have nothing to complain about. I get it. Look, we're all PTSD type right now. We're still worried about the Wilpons, thinking this is going to come back to bite us, that type thing. But there is so many reasons as to why this Scherzer pickup is groundbreaking. It is literally altering. It changes everything for the Mets, and not just how their approach is for the club in 2022. It also changes their approach with the media. It changes their approach with the respective clubs in the league, putting themselves on the map, knowing that, yes, they are a desirable location, puts them on the map also when landing big name free agents from the stingiest agent in all of baseball, and Scott Boras. If you can get a deal like this done with Scott Boras and the biggest free agent in all of free agency pitching wise, the world's your oyster. This is just the beginning of something fantastic in Queens, and there's no reason to believe otherwise. I see a lot of comments, folks. My mistake. Like I said, I had to go on that rant. And again, I understand everyone. I understand if you have natural concerns. Everyone is always going to be concerned. Everyone is going to have a pessimistic side of them. If you've been a Mets fan for more than a year, right? You know, you've been through hell and back. I understand that. But I'm also just trying to tell you is this team is on a great path to success. They're continuing to build here. The Mets have had a remarkable offseason. Best offseason we could ever ask for, and they're not even done yet. A $265 million payroll that they're going to be pushing probably around $300 million. Need I say more? That's all I got to say. Correa to the Tigers. I don't, as I've been reported, I think you're just spamming that, Brandon, out of hopes that comes to fruition. When the Tigers literally said, when reports came out, that it doesn't seem like that's likely on the Correa front, that they would go to, look, let's talk about Carlos Correa for just a split second, everybody. What kind of contract do you think Carlos Correa is going to get? If we get a 10-year, $325 effing million contract to a Corey Seager that is at best average defensively, what do you think Carlos Correa is going to get? This guy's going to get a bigger deal, should get a bigger deal than Francisco Lindor for basing things solely on the market value. Regardless on how you feel about him, regardless about the cheating scandal, I don't need to hear that tangent right now. I'm well aware on all the positives and the negatives that come with Carlos Correa. But you'd have to think damn well, especially given his age at 27, this guy's going to get a bag. He's going to get at least a 10-year contract as long as he gets the right suitor. The question is where's he going to land? Where is Carlos Correa going to land? The Yankees don't seem like they're inclined. They literally talked to Simmons today. That seemed like a likelihood for shortstop. It doesn't look like that they want to be locked in long-term to a big contract like a Correa. The Tigers, there's uncertainty on if they would get it done. So where is Correa going to land, folks? Let me know in the chat where you think he may land. Dodgers is interesting. Dodgers is a wild card just because they lost out on both Scherzer and Seager now. They got money to work with. Would they go all in on Correa? But again, Correa's a guy that it's just like the Seager situation. You got two shortstops in him and Turner. Trey is a far better shortstop than he is at second base. Is Correa willing to shift to second? I don't know. That's a good question. Donation here from Will. Will, thank you so much for the donation, my man. Love the moves, but are we confident that Carrasco and Walker, for that matter, will return to form or even win enough games for us at the bottom? No, we're not. Great comment. I would love to address that, and I will right now. Will Shea, hype in the chat for Will Shea with the donation. Thank you, my man. No, the Mets are not confident in the abilities of Walker and Cookie right now, which is precisely why they are going to continue to address this rotation, whether that's through the free agent market. Like I said, we got a list of names that we'll be getting into shortly. Whether that's even through the trade market. I've heard some rumblings today, even through Andy Martino that he talked about on SNY earlier regarding a potential trade option for the Mets, pitching-wise. The Mets are going to continue to address this rotation. They want to make sure that they have endless options and they want comfortability. And I really do believe the Mets want someone that they can secure as a number 3, because I do not believe at this point in time that they are sold on Taijuan Walker. And again, nothing personally against Taijuan. I really, really hope he bounces back next year after having a horrid second half. But when you have a Jekyll and Hyde first season with the Mets, how do you expect us to believe that, oh my goodness, he's going to be consistent next year? He hasn't proven it. Cookie Carrasco, when Cookie's healthy and rolling, Cookie's a really good pitcher. One of the most balanced pitchers in the league, even in his mid-30s now. But he's coming off of another surgery this offseason, another offseason where he can't get properly prepped for the upcoming season. There's uncertainties with this rotation still, 1,000%. So to answer your question, no, the Mets aren't confident, and that's exactly why they're going to continue to address this rotation. The real question is exactly who's it going to be, right? But again, shout out everybody in the chat, guys, to my 1,000 plus viewers. Love and appreciate you guys all so much. Continue to smash that like and subscribe button if you guys are enjoying the stream as always. And again, let me know, as I said already, where do you think Carlos Correa is going to land? Really curious where you guys think he's going to land. Okay, you guys, everyone's kind of sold on Tigers. Remember me from yesterday? I do, Brando. How's it going, my man? Who would I prefer as our next starting pitching target? That I'll get into that shortly. Great question. But again, we got all the people on the list right now of starting pitching options. Yeah. A lot of you guys really think that it's Tigers or bust still. Interesting. I just don't know if Tigers are going to go to Correa's price point, man. And that's the thing. Like, if no one's going to spend big, like, I don't know. It seems like Correa is the perfect fit for the Tigers, but there's just been controversial reporting. I think we can all agree. Chris and Freddie to the Dodgers, not happening. Brian, I think there's a very slim chance of him going to LA, and I I don't think Freddie Freeman's leaving the Braves. I got to be honest with you. But folks, with saying that, continue to smash that like and subscribe on if you guys are enjoying the stream. All right, guys, let's get into a couple more signings before we get on to this entire list regarding the Mets. I see that Baez report that MLB Nerd's not sure the validity that he and the Mets are talking and something could happen. I mean, there's been a lot of rumors going around that Baez could have a decision tonight. There's also a lot of rumors going around that Baez may not sign until post-lockout. So until we actually get it, like factual reporting where we get, that the Mets are, closing in on this guy or that another team is closing in on Baez, we simply don't know right now. There's a lot of uncertainty on his front, but again, I'm going to address more in a second. But a couple more signings did happen tonight. As we know, a couple bullpen pieces hit the market and are now off the market. That being in Kirby Yates. If you guys don't know, Kirby Yates was out for the entirety of this past season dealing with injury. I'm not exactly sure what injury Kirby Yates had. I'm trying to think. I think the Blue Jays signed him, and then he got hurt right before the season began. Either way, he signs with the Braves on a 2-year, $8.25 million deal. So, low risk, high reward upside deal for the Braves to address their bullpen. We'll see what Yates can bring them. Also, the Dodgers, they didn't make a move, but no, it's not Max Scherzer, and no, it is not Corey Seager. Instead, it is going to be Daniel Hudson. Hudson, who was originally with the Nationals and then traded to the Padres at the MLB trade deadline, signs a 1-year, $7 million deal with the Dodgers. So he stays in California, but he goes from sunny San Diego to, yes, LA. And the Giants, yes, they're looking like they're going to sign Alex Cobb. I have not seen details. It was Tommy John. I thought so. Thank you for reaffirming, everybody in the chat. Giants look like they're getting Alex Cobb, which is from, as I know, especially when I've talked to Jolly Olive, my good friend. Make sure to check out Jack on his channel and his podcast with Jerry Blevins. When I had him on the channel for Mets offseason outlook, he really liked the prospect of Alex Cobb coming to the Mets, of a low-risk, high-reward type deal. Because Cobb did have a very solid year with the Angels sneakily. Even though he's in his mid-30s, he's a guy that has some really nice plus stuff. And the Giants, right around a week ago, looks like that they were closing in on Cobb. That fell through because then they signed Alex Wood and Anthony DeSclafani, the guys that were their free agents that they then re-signed. But it does look like that they will have a deal done for Alex Cobb now. So that's going to add to the rotation. Giants are going to continue to do their magic with guys that they get on, lower value type deals, shorter term, and get the absolute best out of them. Especially after losing Kevin Gausman, they need to continue to address the rotation. And Alex Cobb is going to be a nice fit going from LA to San Francisco. Couple more things that I would like to touch with you all, folks. Phillies and Mariners. They are both been very hot teams today. And a lot of talk that I've been seeing with the Phillies. Phillies today in itself have been connected to Chris Bryant. They have been connected to Nick Castellanos. They've had at least preliminary discussions with. I don't know exactly how far discussions have gone with Nick Castellanos. They've also been in connection with, I'm trying to think, there's actually one more player. I don't know why I'm blanking right now. It's bothering me. Guys, let me know in the chat. What's the one player I'm missing from the Phillies standpoint? Oh, Michael Conforto, yes. And that crushes me. Dude, I'm literally going to lose my mind if Mike goes to the Phillies. If you guys don't know, Michael Conforto has always been my favorite player. And, I'm going to root for him wherever he goes. But, man, I do not need a Zach Wheeler 2.0 situation where the Mets still allow someone who's in their prime to go to a rival in the Phillies. I don't need that, and I really hope that doesn't happen. So, Michael Conforto, Mike, you're assumably, it looks like you're gone. Crushes me. But if you're going to go anywhere, go out west. If you're going to go to the Mariners, go to the Mariners. I would love him on the White Sox. I know the White Sox have been a very sneaky team on Michael Conforto. So definitely make sure that you guys keep that noted for sure. I know I get a lot of people think I look like Conforto. And again, always appreciate that, given the fact, especially that Michael's been my favorite player since he hit the league. Absolutely. I see Conforto with Kelenic too. I would gladly root for the Mariners though, if that's the case, man. I would gladly root for the Mariners. I have nothing personal against Kelenic at all. I obviously have nothing at all against Conforto. Be like Mike, baby. But with saying that, folks, Mariners have been in a lot of people today. They've been heavily active in the infield market. They've been tagged with Chris Taylor. And in case you guys don't know, the utility stud from the LA Dodgers, who's on a compensation pick. So what that means is because he declined his qualifying offer, Chris Taylor, who I would love on the Mets, might I add, he's a utility machine. He's just like a Kike Hernandez, but even better offensively, even though Kike was just a stud in playoffs. So just like Kike, another big utility guy for the Dodgers that can play every day in multiple different positions in the infield and outfield, has hit the market. And because he declined his qualifying offer, he can find himself lending him to a team, but that team has to give up a compensation pick. Now, Mets are reluctant to part with their 14th, I think their 14th overall pick in the draft, because it would be their compensation pick, the second draft pick that they'd have to give up for comp picks. So Taylor doesn't look like he's coming to the Mets. He has been connected to the Mariners, though. That's where he started his career in Seattle. Would not be surprised if he rekindles his relationship there, knowing that he has that familiarity with an organization that is actually focused on winning. Definitely looks like that they're in the right direction for sure. Mariners surprised a lot of people last year. We're a fun, entertaining team. A team that doesn't really have too many X factors right now. They're a team on the up and up, very young, very promising, and they're definitely going to do a lot of great things over the coming years. And I really hope for their sake that they can end their playoff drought, because no one deserves it more than Mariners fans, man. Absolutely. But they've been connected on him. They also have been connected on a New York Met who's currently a free agent, that being Javy Baez. Now, to what extent has interest been drawn from the Mariners and going after Baez? We don't know right now. But yes, Baez is one of multiple infielders that the Mariners have been keeping tabs on, have been keeping in touch with. And I obviously don't want Baez to go anywhere. So I pray to goodness that he stays with the Mets. But Mariners, again, are trying to upgrade, trying to get some type of infield acquisition or just a big utility guy. They've been connected to Chris Bryant as well. Chris Bryant and the Phillies have been connected. So it's the Phillies and the Mariners, the two teams. I think it was through John Morosi today. I could be wrong, though. Don't quote me on it. That have been connected to, yes, Chris Bryant, KB. I'd love KB on the Mets. But again, if the Mets are zoning in on Javy Baez for their position player acquisition, I find it beyond hard to believe that they would be able to get both KB and Baez. I think it's truly one or the other. And I do think that as of now, Baez is their main focus position player-wise. Of course, until proven otherwise, unless I'm proven otherwise. According to reports, Mariners are looking hard on KB more than Baez. Yeah, that's not surprising. Again, I think KB would be a very good fit. And if Seattle can get KB and Chris Taylor, those would be awesome pickups for them. Two utility machines. Definitely would be impressive for sure. But with saying that, though, folks, we touched on everything. We're just about a half hour in the live stream, or 1,000 viewers. Thank you so much for that. Help us get a 300 plus likes for the first short-term goal on the stream, as always, and help us get a 12K subs for the next short-term goal here on WardyNYM. Thank you guys for the support. But yeah, we touched on everything in regards to what's happening around the league right now. We will be, going about things as they are happening live throughout the live stream. So hopefully we get some exciting news while we're live here. But let's shift now to the New York Mets. The reason why you're probably watching this live stream, whether it's live or on replay. And when talking about the New York Mets, we have to talk about Mad Max Scherzer. Now, I will say that looking back on my stream earlier today, I absolutely loved it. Thank you all so much. Everyone chimed in. Just fantastic with viewership and donations. You guys absolutely kill it per usual. I'm not surprised. You guys are the best. But I've taken a bit to really kind of hone my thoughts more on Mad Max. And really, I've come to the conclusion of just how important this is in so many different ways outside of the Mets actually landing him. As I said earlier in the stream already, this impacts everything so much for the better. And this really does feel like that big domino to fall, in the sense of we're going to see an effect of more and more players having a stronger willingness to come to the Mets. We're going to see a narrative just completely decimated and killed. That was for the entire existence of the Mets, the LOL Mets narrative, right? That is coming to fruition in the sense that it is going to be gone. Now, Mets obviously need to prove themselves on the field. I'm fully aware of that. Can we see the bunny? I would love to show Gigi at some point in the stream. Maybe you guys will see her. I meant to show her in the Scherzer stream. I just got caught up. You guys know when I'm rambling for literally hours on end, it's easy for me to forget about something, especially if she's not making noise. Like, she's just laying down, minding her own business right now. But point I'm trying to make is Mad Max comes to Queens, knowing again how much the Mets really went after him, and knowing how much this kills narratives, not just for the Mets, but also for their newly crowned GM. That boy right there, that man, that absolute stud of a human being, and Billy Epler. What was the biggest cause for concern when he came to the New York Mets? What was the biggest quote-unquote problem he had during his time in the LA Angels? It was addressing starting pitching. Now, I said time and time and again, and I preached how much Artie Moreno was an absolute schmuck and was a big problem for Billy Epler in his first time as a GM, and really try to make the right decisions. We're talking about an owner that vetoed, trades from happening for Billy Epler in the past. Did not give him ability to go after the right players at times. went after more offense than pitching after being stubborn about losing out on certain pitching like Garrett Cole and the Zach Wheelers of the world a couple years ago. So there was naturally a lot of uncertainty with Billy Epler coming to the Mets. And by all means, he has a lot more work that he needs to do. By no means do I think that he's in a spot right now, where you give him a 10-year extension. But he's clearly shown in a very short period of time that he is capable of getting the job done and knowing how to handle the big bucks. I know there's the narratives of, Sandy Alderson doesn't know what to work with an actual big payroll. He's still so cheap. There's narratives going with other people that were in consideration for the Mets GM or president baseball operations job. Billy Epler has come in. He's done an amazing job. He's easily the best GM the Mets have had in recent years, and there's no denying that. And this is just the beginning for him, and hopefully of something historic during his time with the New York Mets, and really his second go-around about being a full-time GM in the game of baseball. We know he was with the Yankees for a decade as a really worked himself up through scouting and then became the assistant GM for multiple years under Brian Cashman, who he's still very close with, the GM for the Yankees, and went on, of course, to the Angels, had that GM job, and nothing went right. But it goes to show how much difference ownership can make in decision-making for a GM, and that's why we should not put too much stock every single way that we look at someone's track record with prior experience, whether they were a GM, whether they were a different position. There are more factors that go into it, and Billy Epler, so far, so good. It looks like a man that was beyond deserving of a second chance. So, very happy for him. I'm sure he is ecstatic, really getting a slam dunk type pick that he was never able to get during his time with the LA Angels. I'm sure that's a huge weight off his shoulders and something that he can be not just happy, but confident about for the remainder of the offseason heading into 2022. He's got a lot more moves to make, as I said, but so far, so good from Billy Epler. Shout out to my boy. Absolute beauty. We all love the man. Let me address a couple donations here. Again, folks, thank you so much for the donations and the likes and the subscriptions as always. Appreciate you guys. Christopher says, Chris, thank you so much for the $2 donation. Kiss the newspaper. Congrats to us. I'll do it again, Chris, just because you asked nicely. I did it in the last live stream. I said if the Mets get Scherzer, I'm going to kiss the Billy Epler newspaper right away. We'll do it again. Shout out to you, boy, Billy Epler, for just being an absolute stud. So happy to have Billy Epler and what he's done with Steve Cohen so far. Neil, thank you so much for the $2 donation. Can you please go over what it will be to sign Baez? Yes, we can get into Baez, and then I'll go into it further in the live stream. That's fine. Neil, thank you so much for the $2 donation. Insanity, what's up, my man? Thank you for chiming in, buddy. So here's the thing with Javy Baez. There have been numerous reports that have come out today, as I'm sure you guys are aware of. You've been following along with the news like any other normal Mets fan. I've seen reports from Mark Feinstein and others that it looks like that Javy Baez could come to a decision soon, potentially even tonight, pre-lockout. I've seen other reports that suggest that that Baez might not have a decision until post-lockout. I don't see how Javy Baez lands on anything short of a potential even 7-year deal if he signs pre-lockout. I don't see how that doesn't happen. I really don't. The Semien contract, Marcus Semien is at least 31 years of age, right? 7-year deal, $175 million. Seager, I think Seager's 30. Don't quote me. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure Seager's 30. 10 years, $325. If Baez is basing this off of, how his market is going to be, he's probably going to be a 7-year deal. It really, everything is in his favor market-wise, and he will get that long-term from somewhere else, should it not be the Mets. So whether or not the Mets will be willing to go that length for Baez is something I honestly don't know. But I will say that the Mets have been in on Baez this entire time. I do know, however, through Wrestling Wires reported earlier today, to this point, I haven't seen any updates right now, is that the Mets and Baez are still, quote-unquote, far apart. Now, how exactly far apart are they? I don't know. And how far apart are they at this point in time, at this juncture, at the time of talking right now, of being live in this live stream? I don't know either. It's a fluent situation. It's something that we're going to find out more and more about. I would love to get some Javy Baez news tonight. I think that would be electric. But keep in mind that the Baez thing is still there. It's still up and running. There's a lot of things going on. I'm confused on the lockout. I'll briefly touch on the lockout because everyone asks me in my live streams all the time. In case you guys don't know, just to rehash again, because I know not everyone is aware. The lockout that's happening, you have a CBA deal, which is a collective bargaining agreement. That is between your players union and the league as a whole. Rob Manfred, the MLB, their representation. that deal expires after so many years, whenever the expiring date is up. It is in the beginning of December. And as of now, neither side is close to prevent a lockout. And what happens is a lockout just means that until they actually get an agreement on a new deal, there's a lockout. So no transactions can happen at the MLB level. We're talking no free agent signings, no trades, none of that. I did see an article earlier today, however, from Jeff Passan indicate that it's not impossible that the Mets, that the MLB is able to avoid a lockout. There is a slight optimism that we're going to avoid a lockout. I don't think it's likely right now. And I'm under the understanding right now that it does look like that we're going down the lockout path. I'll be surprised if we don't get a lockout right now. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't want us to get a lockout, and I really hope that a lockout doesn't happen. But as of now, we're in the direction that one is going to happen. I did see that report from Martino that the Mets are probably set on position player side unless they trade a McNeil after presumed lockout. Again, we'll see what comes of that. Okay, Phillies are about to make a bullpen pickup, folks. So we do have some breaking news on the live stream. Phillies expressing serious interest in free agent Corey Knebel from the LA Dodgers. He's a free agent now. Knebel was connected to the Arizona Diamondbacks, I believe, as well. I could be wrong on that. I'm almost certain he was. But no less, Phillies are looking to address their bullpen. Knebel had a solid year last year, has dealt with injuries, and he is looking like he may be on his way to Philadelphia if that does, in fact, go through and they get a deal done. So, latest news from the bullpen side of things is regarding Corey Knebel and the Phillies. I would assume it would be on a multi-year deal at a decent AAV. What's another second base option this year and the years to come? If the Mets don't sign Javy Baez, I have a feeling that Eduardo Escobar would be the Mets starting second baseman, and then that they would go for a third base option elsewhere, whether that's a Chris Bryant, whether that's someone through the trade market. That's what I think. But I really, really hope that for the Mets' sake, again, that they can keep Javy Baez. I think there's still plenty of optimism on the front. I just really, really hope that they can get it done. And Doug Rush does know his stuff. Doug Rush said Mets are nearing a 4-year deal with Rodon. Yo, are you Doug? Doug has been on his stuff. Shout out to Doug. Actually shouted me out earlier today. Doug's a beauty. I didn't know this guy until yesterday. He's been doing great Mets coverage. I don't see anything from Doug Rush in regards to Rodon, so I think you guys are just capping in the stream right now. Unfortunately, I don't see anything. Yeah, you guys are just lying. That I would be in favor of Rodon on a not too long-term deal for sure. Again, we're going to be getting into Rodon in a second, but Doug Rush, shout out to Doug Rush again, does great work. I'm actually looking at his Twitter right now. It's the Doug Rush. He's verified. Does very good coverage. He normally covers the New York Giants. Really had a good say in regards to the Max Scherzer ordeal throughout the night. Did a really, really good job. And he was kind enough to shout me out because he saw my live streams and really liked them. So again, shout out to Doug Rush. Ran back to my room to check Twitter. Damn it. Yeah. I mean, if the Mets get Rodon, I will be absolutely pumped because of the upside there, as long as you don't go too long-term on him. Shraken, thank you so much for the $5 donation. And I'll explain further why in a second, guys, in case you aren't aware. $5 donation here from the Shraken. Thank you so much, my man. What do you say about Manaea and Trevino? The Mets, I would love both of them. I would especially love Sean Manaea, the southpaw. We'll get to them shortly. I'm absolutely in love with Sean Manaea. I'm a huge Sean Manaea fan. Absolutely huge. Love that guy. An absolute big, heavy, hefty southpaw that can get the job done. And he's had some health issues in his career too, but Manaea I like quite a bit. I think that he would be a stud as your number 3 in this Mets rotation. That could very well could be an ace on other clubs. Thoughts on the new proposed playoff format? Camp, I did not see that. So let me know exactly what that is. Like I said, I missed out on some things over the web today. And I know I got endless DMs and texts from people too that I got to address. I've just, again, from going 8 hours streaming last night to being here now, streaming 2 hours earlier for Scherzer, a lot has transpired on my side of things. So I had to take a rest and kind of step back for a couple hours up until this live stream tonight. Did I sleep well? I mean, no, I didn't. I barely slept from last night after the live stream. Billy Marte, thank you so much for the donation. Love the name. Head in the chat for Billy Marte as well, folks. Let's see. Sorry, just missed a bit. Happy to be here now. What's the news on Rodon? The Mets have been connected to Rodon. That is correct. Yes, and we'll be getting into more of that here shortly. Guys, just stay tuned. I'm going to go use the restroom. Just give me a quick second. You boys just got to take a little piss break. You know the drill. Stay beautiful. Everybody, let me know in the chat right now, what is one starting pitcher you would like to see the Mets go after the most next? Who do you think the Mets will actually land starting pitching-wise next? Do you think it's going to be a free agent or someone via trade? Let me know. I'll be right back in literally 1 minute. Look at you folks trying to trick me with the Rodon cap. That's cute. That's cute. I looked at the chat as I went to the bathroom. Nice try though. I give you guys an E for effort on that one. E for effort. If you guys are chiming in right now, the live stream, everyone just tried to prank me in regards to the Mets signing Carlos Rodon. So again, tip of the cap to you. I respect the effort, but it was also pathetic, if I'm being quite honest. But jokes aside, yeah, F's in the chat for the boys. All you guys. But all right, let's talk about the Mets, right? Let's talk about these. Let's talk about the Mets, baby. Let's go Mets. All right. Shout out to those memes. I love those. The Mets have been connected on multiple starting pitching talents. Now, as I asked you guys when I left, no one decided to do it because you decided to try to fool me instead. Everybody, what is one starting pitcher you would like the most for the Mets to get next in either free agency or the trade market? And let's try to be realistic here, okay? Let me know in the chat. What's one starting pitcher that you think makes sense for the Mets that you would like to see? Everybody, let me know in the chat right now, and then we'll get on with all the starting pitching discussions that need to be had here. Rodon, Means, Greinke, German Marquez. Nice pick. Castillo. Okay. Kershaw. Don't see that happening. You know, Phillies are interested in Conforto. I know. I hope it doesn't happen. Kikuchi. Okay. Harvey. Okay. So Rich Hill. Okay. Someone's speaking a little facts here. Stroman. Okay. Mania. Okay, folks. All right. Let's get into what transpired today. So, as it was first reported earlier today through Michael Mayer, who, again, shout out Michael Mayer. Michael, I cannot express enough how great of a job he does covering the Mets through Mets Mirage. Shout out Michael. Has his own Mets podcast as well. Has great sources. He was actually the first person to break the Robbie Ray news earlier today. He has sources not just related to the Mets, just as a whole. He was the first person to break the Robbie Ray news, and he even got noticed by Jeff Passan, Ken Rosenthal, everyone. Rightfully so. They didn't think that he was first at first, but he was. So shout out to Michael Mayer, does a great job. But he reported earlier today, And that was during our Scherzer live stream earlier. And I said that guys like Kikuchi and Rodon will be on the Mets radar, especially because they are both Scott Boras clients. The Mets just signed the biggest Scott Boras client available, that being a Max Scherzer. So now we have Michael Mayer has shown that the Mets have shown interest in him. It has been reaffirmed through SNY at least that the Mets have had discussions with Yusei. I can't even talk right now. Kikuchi from the Seattle Mariners, who's now a free agent. Kikuchi had such a bizarre year, but he still has plus stuff, and he's a guy that especially I think the Mets could take full advantage of, and getting him on a not crazy deal, shorter term, and really getting the most out of for Southpaw, who was an all-star in 2021, just had a really poor second half. But there's a lot of reasons why Kikuchi could really be something special for the Mets, and really a lower value, strong pick to potentially be I would assume you would want Kikuchi probably, if I had to guess, as your number 4. You'd have your Taiwan as your number 3. Kikuchi be number 4, Cookie number 5. Something along those lines, if I had to guess. But Kikuchi would bring that southpaw in the rotation. Very, very underrated. And to expand further on how his season went in 2021 and his arsenal, let's get into that shortly. Let's get into that right now, I should say. Okay, Yusei Kikuchi. Again, in 2021, 29 games played, had himself a 4.41 ERA, a 1.1 WAR. But let's go further into the numbers here. He had over 160 strikeouts, I believe. Want to go into his baseball savant too, because again, his arsenal's nice. He does have some nasty stuff. Pretty sure his slider's pretty nice too. And again, the Mets are in desperate need of a southpaw in this rotation, and I do not expect them to bank on someone to the likes of a David Pearson. I don't see that happening. And obviously, Joey Fuego, Julio Lucchese's out still with Tommy John surgery. Yeah, Kikuchi, if you look at his baseball savant numbers, nothing is in his favor at all. His pitch arsenal is his four-seam fastball, his cutter, slider, changeup. He definitely looks like he just needs a tweak on some things. And he can really get in a better position. Breaking down the numbers here further. Okay, let's see. Let's look at how averages were against him on these pitches. Okay, players in 2021 had a 209 average on his fastball in 2021. A 209 average. And that was by far the pitch he threw the most at 912 attempts in 2021. His cutter at 896 times thrown, 276 average. And, some solid on base there. So the cutter, something that he struggled with in his command, what the numbers are showing me. Slider, it's wipeout, but it's a little bit hit or miss. He definitely struggled with it throughout the year. 266 average on his slider. But at times by an average of 238. So there's definitely some unluckiness that went into the contact that was hit against him using his slider. And his changeup, only 269 attempts, nasty. 176 average, 173 times by an average. So, the off-speed stuff's looking strong. The cutter, he needs to definitely make a tweak with and needs to get something fixed there. But Kikuchi, not Kikuchi, yes. Yusei Kikuchi really would come in for the Mets as a low-risk, high-reward upside. Would, of course, give them further flexibility with addressing the rest of the roster. But also, I do believe is someone that, in the hands of a Jeremy Hefner, could really get everything figured out. I wouldn't put every stock in the world into the fact of him having a 4.41 ERA in 2021. He's a guy that really, not to the same extent, because I do think John Gray has more upside, but John Gray was a guy where if you're just looking on his ERA alone, you don't think John Gray is going to do anything good. But John Gray has always had plus stuff. He's been unlucky, and he's a guy that is going to benefit being out of Coors now with the Texas Rangers. So Gray is a good example on how we can evaluate someone like Kikuchi here, a guy that ERA-wise, you don't think that, he's going to be anything special, but does have a pretty strong arsenal. And again, you could get him on a good deal. And I've been a heavy advocate for Kikuchi. I said this a couple weeks ago, especially in the scenario where the Mets landed Seiya Suzuki, the stud right fielder that's been posted from the Nippon Pro Baseball League. Suzuki, I don't think is happening for the Mets. I don't think that they're doing anything crazy outfield-wise anymore after getting both Canna, and Marte. Again, we'll see what happens, but I wouldn't bet on them doing anything absurd outfield wise anymore besides just adding further depth. So with the assumption that they're out on Suzuki, that doesn't change anything for the front of going after Yusei Kikuchi, but it would have made sense in my mind, just so you at least have a guy that has intellect that can really help Suzuki get acclimated to the MLB and not kind of be by himself and just, working with the team around him that he has that, he was brought with or assigned to help translate things of that reason. Denny Duffy's a free agent. Yes, I'm aware of that. But again, the Mets, for the people that aren't aware, have been connected to both Kikuchi and Carlos Rodon today. Let's get into Rodon's numbers because Carlos Rodon, nasty stuff, man. But Rodon, the biggest thing for him is his health. And as I said in a video before, Rodon, it's not about the talent with him, man. It's about being healthy. This is a guy that had some significant shoulder issues throughout the year. Then, of course, Scott Boras, said that, it's nothing to worry about. He's going to be just fine. He's looking for a multi-year deal. But Rodon, 2021 numbers. These baseball savant numbers are just stupid. Oh my God. Times ERA, 95 percentile. Times batting average, 93 percentile. Hard hit rate, 68 percentile. K percentage, 96 percentile. Barrel percentage, 67 percentile. Times slugging, 92 percentile. XWOBA, 95th percentile. Walks percentage, 73 percentile. Whiff rate, 90th percentile. Chase rate, 76th percentile. Fastball velocity, 80th percentile. Fastball spin, 62nd percentile. Just nasty stuff. Nasty stuff. Again, it isn't about Rodon and what he brings with his package. He's crazy. Rory Twins interested in Rodon. That makes perfect sense to me, especially if they can prime away from the White Sox in the division. I've heard a lot of things actually connecting the Twins to Rodon, just assumably. Now it's becoming more affirmed. Who came out with that report, though? Let me know in the chat. But still, Rodon is someone that the Mets have talked to recently. I would imagine at some point today from the reports that I've seen. And he's someone where the relationship with Scott Boras would be beneficial after getting Max Scherzer, just like it would be in getting Kikuchi. Same thing because they're both Scott Boras clients. But what you get with a guy like Rodon who had a 2.37 ERA and 24 games played and 130 innings pitched and 185 strikeouts and a sub-1 whip in 2021 is someone that, if he's healthy, get him on assumably a 3-4 year deal, could be absolutely monstrous. Again, as long as this guy stays healthy, he's a dynamic pitcher. There's no denying that. He was one of, if not the most dominant southpaw in baseball this year, outside of Robbie Ray. And again, the biggest thing with him is fastball drop, something that we noticed a lot with him. But there's also arguments to suggest that maybe he really wasn't pumping the gas too much because he was trying to hold it for playoff time, knowing that the White Sox were just so far ahead of every opposing team in the league, in their division, I should say, that they really didn't need to really go all out every single game or every single time he pitched, if you will. People were telling me to look at a tweet. I'm going to look at a tweet quick, and then we'll go from there, folks. Check a tweet from Martin. Martin Maldonado, the player? Okay. I don't know what this means. Martin Maldonado for the Astros did tweet out this emoji. Again, I have no clue what that will be indication of. You guys can't see it, but it's like that goofy one where they're like I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know. Very cryptic. I don't know if anything will come of that on his stance. I don't think that obviously impacts the Mets at all, but interesting to see. There's been rumors again through MLB Nerds. I see that heard the Mets and Baez are working towards a deal. Nothing done or concrete, but something could very well be done by tonight. I don't know if anything's going to be done tonight. I would love it if something happens with Baez tonight. But again, I'm not trying to get my hopes up or anything like that. Check the Syracuse Mets Twitter branding. Okay, I'll do that. And then we'll go further here in the live stream with these talking points because we got a bunch more, as I mentioned. And then we'll just go into more of an open Q&A and following along with all the news. And again, folks, help us get a 500 plus likes for the next short-term goal in the stream. Would really appreciate that, folks. Thank you all so much in advance. And help us get to 12K subs for the next short-term goal here on WardyNYM. Thank you all so much as always, folks. Really, really appreciate it. Oh, I love the branding. That looks sick. They're just hyping up Scherzer is what they're doing. That looks sick. Matt, I would love Matt Chapman. I don't think. Look, if the Mets got Matt Chapman, I would be stoked. Maybe that is something that could be in connection with Sean Manaea. You know, if the Mets are considering doing a deal with the A's, according to Andy Martino, he said nothing is imminent, but someone like Sean Manaea is someone that could be of consideration. And we'll be getting into him more shortly because I'm a big Sean Manaea guy. I would be all on board with Manaea if you can get him at the right price. Josh with a $2 donation. Rich Hill pitched well for us and is cheap. Yes, Rich Hill. Look, let's be honest. Dick Mound did really good for the Mets and was reliable. Gave you a solid 5 innings every 5th day for the most part. And Hill is someone where I wouldn't be against a reunion, but at the same time, I do think that Hill would be awesome if he potentially comes out of the bullpen. Kind of a guy that's stretched as more of a long arm, if you will. I don't know what his desire is in that. I don't know exactly how much interest he has in coming back to the Mets right now. I don't know how much interest the Mets have in bringing him back right now. But if you're talking on the forefront just how he did during his time in Queens, I wouldn't be opposed to Rich Hill coming back. Again, age is not a factor when it comes to Rich Hill. The guy got the job done every 5th day, was beyond solid. And as long as the Mets have a solid bullpen, or maybe even have someone else in the bullpen that could be an innings eater in the scenario where Rich Hill doesn't go more than 4 or 5 per start, then they're perfectly fine. I wouldn't be against that at all. Maybe the Mets even consider a 6-man rotation. I know that there's been some rumors about that going today, on really trying to ensure that you get the most out of DeGrom and Scherzer and really get them set for the belief that you're going to make playoffs. And hopefully those guys can be your X factors. So making them miss a couple starts throughout the year could benefit them. So that's something that could be of consideration for the Mets as well. I've always found it hard to believe regarding, Rich Hill. Not Rich Hill. I always found it hard to believe that the Mets would go to a 6-man rotation. It's just always felt unlikely. It doesn't happen too often naturally, but it would make sense just from the forefront, from our understanding at this point in time of wanting to make sure that you get Scherzer and DeGrom as healthy as possible. And then, having just a little bit more time could impact things significantly, then by all means do it. I'm not opposed to that. And that would further tell you that, yes, the Mets are continuing to go in on addressing this rotation. Mets are trading for Sonny Gray. I do think that the Mets may have something up their sleeve of trading for a pitcher. I'm a little surprised by that, however, just because of the fact that there are starting pitching options in free agency, but clearly they have reasons as to why they would go down the trade route, as long as they don't give up assets that are like prospect capital that are important to the team right now. Let's see here. Sean Manaea, Matt Chapman, JD Davis, Jeff McNeil. I'm not sure if that's enough to get it done. I mean, McNeil does have a lot more value than people realize. But again, if you can trade assets like that in order to get people that are going to actually impact this team, that, Chapman would go to third base right away. Escobar would be in a scenario where he's at second. If you do, in fact, lose Baez or Escobar, someone that's just a big utility guy off the bench, which would be huge. I have a feeling Escobar is going to be getting a good amount of playing time, though. And Manaea as your number 3 starter, I would love that. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah, no, I don't think it would be a good idea to trade prospects either, and I don't think that the Mets will. They made that abundantly clear. They're not going to be parting ways with their top prospects. If they do, it would have to be something that would be so worth it on their end that it would be like it's an offer they simply can't refuse, Almost at 400 likes. Thank you so much, guys. Continue to smash that like and subscribe on the stream as always, you beauties. Thank you so much for that. Vientos is going to be our DH this year. That's a bold take from Matthew. I did suggest that Vientos could be a DH possibility next season. Wouldn't surprise me if he gets some time there for sure. Scherzer did receive a full no-trade clause. I'm aware of that. And obviously, the Mets aren't going to trade Mad Max away. Frankie Montas is a beast. Yes. So in case you guys aren't aware, I did two top 5 starting pitching target videos for the Mets on the channel. If you haven't checked them out, make sure you do, because they still hold true with a bunch of the pitchers. Not all of them, but a bunch of them. And in those, I talked about the 3 pitchers that are available from the Oakland A's trade-wise, and that is Sean Manaea, Chris Bassett, and Frankie Montas. Frankie Montas seems like the most unlikely, given the fact of his age and control in his contract. he would probably cost the most. But Manaea, you could probably get at a deal that won't necessarily break the bank, asset-wise. And Chris Bassett is a rental. He only has 1 year left on his deal. So that would make a lot of sense for the Mets if they went short-term there too. But if we take a look at Sean Manaea's numbers in 2021, they were solid. And Manaea is a multi-time Manaea, how many? Hold on, folks. Manaea has... Oh, I just realized I have Manaea's name. Oh, wait, no, I have it spelled right. I thought I had the name spelled wrong on the graphic. That was going to upset me. Nick Plummer trade? No, we just got Nick Plummer. I don't see us trading him, especially when the Mets need depth outfield-wise with a guy like Plummer. But Manaea in 2021, and just under 180 innings, 29 games, 11 wins, had himself a very, very respectable season, including a 3.91 ERA, a 3.66 FIP, and a 3.3 WAR. Yeah, Manaea's a stud. Again, a multi-time no-hitter type appearance from Manaea throughout his career. In total, he has a 3.86 ERA, has 129 games under his belt. In 2019, Manaea barely pitched due to injury. In only 5 starts, he had a 1.2 ERA. Prior to that, however, in 160 innings in 2018, he had a 3.59 ERA. Year before that, in 2017, he had a 4.37 ERA in 160 innings pitched, right around there. And in his rookie year in the league, he had in 144 innings pitched, a 3.86 ERA. So Manaea has been pretty consistent numbers-wise in his career. And again, this is a guy that shoves. He's definitely someone that would be menacing, along with Jake, just when you're talking about actual size on the mound. And if we go into his numbers further here, let's look up his Baseball Savant and see what exactly he's working with, because I don't remember all the numbers off the top of my head. We're not getting Castellanos. Yeah, no, I don't. We're not getting Castellanos. No. Nick Castellanos is not coming to the Mets. So Manaea's Baseball Savant numbers are actually not pretty at all. The only thing, they aren't terrible, but they, especially with average exit velo, max exit velo, hard hit rate, not in his favor. Below average on times batting average. Keep in mind, though, the ballpark that he's working in too, and the type of defense that he would have in the middle infield, at least, came to the Mets. I know they have the hot corner with Chapman, so that wasn't a worry at third. But K percentage of 2021 for Sean Manaea was 64 percentile. Walk rate was his best. Walk percentage at 89 percentile. Manaea knew how to command the strike zone, did not give up a lot of walks at all in 2021. Whiff rate above average at 58 percentile. That's really it. A little just below average on chase rate. So Manaea is someone I would be in heavy favor of coming to the Mets at the right price. Been a big fan of his for a while. I think there's really a lot of potential there on his side of things. But in regards to how exactly the Mets are addressing this rotation, they're going down a lot of different routes. They're obviously ingrained in the free agent market still, because they're looking at guys like Carlos Rodon. They're looking at guys like Yusei Kikuchi. They're looking at guys potentially like Sean Manaea right now. And also one name that might come off as a little surprise to some of you guys is, yes, Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd, who I talked about in my previous live stream, was non-tendered by the Tigers in a little bit of a surprising move. And Boyd is someone who would come in and potentially try to crack the rotation as a number 5, would maybe be a depth start. I mean, look, Boyd and 50 games played in 2021, because he dealt with injuries. 3.89 ERA, a 4.10 FIP, a 1.4 WAR. Matthew Boyd is a very sneaky option, and the Mets have been tagged to him. So I think if we're talking about a guy where there's literally zero risk and only upside, Matthew Boyd, the southpaw from the Tigers, who the Mets have showed interest in the past in trying to trade for, I wouldn't be against Boyd either. I think he's a guy that the Mets should absolutely take a flyer on. I wouldn't necessarily prioritize him as your best starting pitching option for the rotation still. But, and developing guys and really trying to get the best out of them, I think Boyd is a very good pick. And, Baseball Savant numbers pretty solid as well. Boyd throughout his career, he hasn't been awfully consistent, obviously. In 2021, like I said, only had himself 15 games. In 2020, 12 games. And in 2020 did not do well, but it was a shortened season. 2019, a 4.5 ERA. 2018, 4.4 ERA. So ideally, this was actually his best year in a lot of ways statistically for Boyd. And he was a surprising non-tender there by the Tigers. So everybody in the chat right now, how would you feel about Matthew Boyd potentially coming to the Mets as really a, guys that's non-tendered that you just take a flyer on, see if he can make an impact potentially as maybe even a sixth man in this rotation, or if the Mets just use him as a depth option, just like a Joey Lucchesi type situation is how I think the Mets could go about Matthew Boyd as a true depth option, not as someone that I want as a number 3 or anything like that. We do have a couple donations in the chat, though. I do want to address them. Again, thank you all so much for the like and the subscribe button, guys. Make sure to help us get to 500 likes for the next short-term goal and the stream, and help us get to 12K subs as well for the next short-term goal on WardyNYM. We got 2 big giveaways coming out this week on the channel, so stay tuned for them. Chances of the Mets trading for Bassett and Chapman, I don't know the likelihood. I got to be honest with you. And if the Mets are trading for a pitcher, it almost feels like it makes sense why they would want Manaea for the sole fact of him being a southpaw. So I think that the A's are a potential suitor still. I just don't know the likelihood of potentially Bassett. I wouldn't mind Bassett at all. I think Bassett would be a very solid addition as your number 3. Right now, I don't know the likelihood. I really don't. And Michael, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Hype in the chat for Michael. I'm still waiting to something to go awry with these signings due to PTSD with this team. I still doesn't feel right. We're a normal team now. I know, Michael. Again, they have a lot more that they got to do. We're aware of that. But yeah, landing Max Scherzer definitely helps things and then some. Appreciate the donation a lot, Michael. Hype in the chat of Mike. Pass on Boyd. Great like Boyd. Okay. Sean Reed Foley is better than Boyd. I disagree on that one personally. Baby Doll, thank you so much for the $2 donation. What do I think of Mike? Oh, yeah, no. I'm not in favor of Mike coming as manager. No. He's the sole... Billy Epler did not have a good relationship during his time with the Angels, and that little... he got fired for a reason during his time with the Angels. Mike is completely old school and someone that I don't see having any connection with the Mets of going for the managerial job, and I think rightfully so. Mike Scioscia, that is. Do I think anyone will sign tonight? In general, yes. With the Mets, however, I don't know. Boyd had flexor tendon surgery. Okay. So maybe there's something there with the Tigers that they felt that they're not feeling confident about, that they made them part ways with him. That could be part of it. So I know the farm is thin, but why is Steve Cohen so dead set on not signing anyone with a Q? Because of just how important that first round pick is, and knowing how much the Mets can do this offseason without going after anyone with a qualifying offer. Like, let's be real. Outside of Chris Taylor, guys, and Carlos Correa, there's really no one that the Mets should even really consider the idea of giving. Even Chris Taylor's a stretch. Carlos Correa is the only guy where I think is fully justified to give up that first round pick for. Other guys, you can make a good debate being for and against it. But there's a reason why the Mets want to keep their draft picks. And I don't think that should be overlooked at all. So to answer, the Mets need to build their farm, and I'm in favor of what they're doing here. I'm not against them building their farm because of the endless options that they do have in the free agent market without having to give up any compensation. That's why I'm not against it. Look, if the free agent market wasn't the way that it is, I think that you'd have a far better argument. Like if, say, all the top free agents, if all the good guys you had to give up a pick for, and the Mets were just like, no, we're not going to do that, then yeah, it'd be a different discussion because that means that they're simply not trying to address much of the team. But no, the Mets can quite literally address the team greatly this offseason without going for a guy with a comp pick, as we have already seen with what has been a slam dunk start with, Canna, Marte, Escobar, and now, yes, Max Scherzer. $150 for Bryant. Crazy, not worth it. What? It's a Bryant sign, or are you just assuming that's what Bryant's going to land on? I can definitely see KB getting more than 150 if it's a longer term deal, given how this market has been so far. How do I feel about Carlos Rodon? I just discussed that on the stream, but I'll discuss it a little bit further. I think Rodon is in a spot right now where he very well could be a great pickup for the Mets on the shorter term. I don't want the Mets throwing like a 5-year deal at Rodon. I have concerns with that. I really do. But Rodon on a shorter term, 3 at most 4 years, I think that there's a lot of upside there for someone like him, who in the prime of his career, again, he just has to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, boy, oh boy. Shane Bieber, no, I don't see Shane Bieber happening at all. Martino says Rammer Time Gaming. I'll check Martino. I think that you're capping, but I'll check. Yeah, nothing on Martino. Not surprised. $7 years, $162 million for Baez. What does that AAV equate to? 23 mil a year. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. I think that'd be a really good deal. I think Baez is going to want more though. I don't see Baez taking 7 years for anything less than like 180. Nothing on Raisel Iglesias. No, Raisel Iglesias would cost you a compensation pick. By no means should the Mets give up a comp pick, a first round pick for a reliever. That would be a horrendous move in my opinion. Doesn't matter how good Iglesias has been. They do not need to be going down that route when they have plenty of options to address the bullpen without doing that and coughing up big bucks for him. Not worth it. My max AAV for Baez is contingent on how long of a term deal it would be. Stroman update, nothing on Stro. Just I will be really surprised if the Mets rekindle the relationship with Stro. At this juncture, I would say that relationship has officially been done. I think it's done. I do. I really do. But speaking of relievers in regards to Raisel Iglesias, let's talk about relievers that have been in connection with the Mets to some degree. At least that are hypothetical that have been thrown out there. As we know, what has been reported earlier today is that the Mets are not just ingrained in the starting pitching market, but they're also ingrained in, yes, the reliever market. And because of that, we've seen a lot of names float out there. Andrew Chafin is someone that I've been heavy advocate of. If you guys don't know who Andrew Chafin is, he was an absolute stud of a southpaw. I really wanted the Mets to trade for him at the past MLB trade deadline. It didn't happen. He went to the Oakland A's, did really well for them. But Andrew Chafin finished his season with a 1.83 ERA and 71 outings. I think, he's as close to Aaron Loop replacement as you can get in free agency. If you're talking trade route wise, yes, the Mets have been connected to Taylor Rogers, who we've discussed on the channel as well. Check out that video if you haven't already, folks. He is southpaw from Minnesota. But a couple things. One, Minnesota just signed Buxton that long-term extension. They're clearly trying to bounce back next year. So I don't know exactly how adamant that they would be to trade someone like Rogers, even though I know he's arbitration eligible, and that's why he could be dealt to begin with. Rogers has been really good. I would love him for the Mets, southpaw in the bullpen. But the Mets emphasize free agency-wise to address the rest of the bullpen. I would think that a guy like Andrew Chafin, who, again, had a 1.83 ERA in 2021, his baseball savant numbers are just stupid. If there was anything better than his mustache in 2021, it was his actual play. He was insane. All right, guys, let's look at the percentiles just on Baseball Savant because it's so pretty when you see a guy that has like majority in the red. Andrew Chafin in 2021, splitting time with the Chicago Cubs and the Oakland A's, had an average exit velo of 74 percentile, max exit velo of 70 percentile, a hard hit percentage of 87 percentile, XWOBA of 89th percentile, times ERA 89 percentile, absolute stud, times batting average of 86 percentile, times slugging 85th percentile, barrel percentage of 76 percentile, K percentage above average of 55 percentile, walk percentage at 69 percentile, nice. Whiff rate just below our average at 47 percentile, chase rate at a staggering 89th percentile, really getting guys with his slider for sure. Fastball and fastball spin rate low, but again, you're not getting velocity with someone like him. Really, really, really in favor of someone like Andrew Chafin. Again, with saying that, however, we'll see exactly how much the Mets prioritize addressing the bullpen through free agency. I would assume that they will, but we'll see. Joe DeMayo says, heck of a day. Joe, I don't know if this is like the Joe, because when I see Joe DeMayo, I think of S&Y right away. If this is in fact Joe, then shout out to Joe. Again, I don't know if this is in fact the Joe I'm thinking of or not. Regardless on who this Joe is, shout out to you, Joe. Appreciate you, my man. Were you worried about the DeGrom opt-out? No, I'm not. I'm not worried about the DeGrom opt-out in the slightest. And neither should you be. What do I search for updates on Twitter? I just go over all the reporters that you can think of. I read articles that's being posted out there throughout the day. That's what I usually do. Chafin is a great clubhouse guy too. Yeah, I've seen nothing but positive things about Andrew Chafin. But outside of Andrew Chafin, however, I do know that they have, like I said, shown interest in Tyler Rogers. There's been a belief that maybe the Mets will go after Brad Hand. As we know, the Mets were heavily into Brad Hand going into the season. They lost out on him because Brad Hand wanted to be the closer for the Nationals. Little did he know what was going to inevitably come. He gets traded, goes to the Blue Jays, has like a 7-year array, then comes to the Mets, was decent. I don't love Brad Hand at all. He's a guy that looks like he's continuing to regress. I have my concerns with someone like Brad Hand, but if the Mets get him on like a short-term, nothing crazy AAV deal, I can live with it. I just do hope that the Mets potentially go other routes than Brad Hand. Not a big Brad Hand guy. They got the opportunity to really explore how he would be with the Mets down the stretch last season. He wasn't available for playoffs, but it didn't even matter because the Mets didn't make playoffs. Jordan with the kind words, so thank you so much. Jordan says, props to you, Warrior, and your commitment. All the streams over the past few days, the fact I dozed off and woke up at 2 a.m. and see you were still going, just an appreciation comment. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Jordan. I appreciate that. Hype in the chat for Jordan. Hype in the chat, all you guys, for the kind words. You guys always mean a lot to me. What do I think about the MLB plans on playoff expansion? Guys, can someone enlighten me on the playoff expansion? What is their vision? I think they're trying to find a middle. From rumors I've seen, at least, not today, just in general. I've seen rumors prior that they're looking for a playoff expansion in between from what they had in 2020 to 2021. I think they want something in between. But let me know. Let me know if you guys have further details because I don't have them on me currently. I can look them up, though. Thomas says 14 teams. Okay. All right, 14 teams. Expanded playoffs is fun, but too expanded of a playoff format is not fun, in my opinion. I didn't like the fact that we had how many teams in 2020 were allowed? It was at least 20, right? Pretty sure it was at least 20. I can get on the wave of 14 teams. I can live with that for sure. I think that would make things more entertaining too, because so many teams just continue to plummet and, just every single year are not giving enough effort. So I don't love the 14 teams. Okay, it was 16, so it's really only a 2-team difference. See, I would want it a little lower personally, but can I live with it? Yes. The only thing that's a pain in the neck for when you have expanded playoffs is the fact that you're going to have teams that sneak in that really had a subpar season, and they very well could have a significant impact in playoffs. When in reality, people are always going to make that argument. Oh my goodness, if this was just a year ago, they wouldn't even been in playoffs. This isn't fair. So that's something that's going to go on for a while. But with the MLB's focus on growing the game, whether they are growing it properly or not, I do think that expanded playoffs is something that they will continue to do. I think that's something that they were happy about what they saw in 2021. They want to see more teams and fan bases engaged. Obviously, that means more revenue for their end. So I do think that expanded playoffs probably will come. It's going to be a little bit of a tough adjustment. I can live with it. I would prefer if it was a little bit lower in regards to the amount of teams, but I can live with it. Story to the Cardinals, Stroman to the Cardinals. Flaherty extent. I mean, I'm not following the Cardinals diehard like you are, David, because I know you're a Cardinals fan. Stro maybe could go. I have a feeling that Strom is more inclined to go out west than anything else, if I'm being honest. I just feel like that would be a better fit for him. But again, we're going to see on the Stroman front. He's a big wild card right now. He's a beyond big wild card. I don't know what to expect from Stro right now, and I don't think a lot of people do either. Javy Baez watch party. We're not there right now. We haven't seen any further reports on Baez too much. But I do want to get into in a second Gary Sanchez in a minute, because I find that comical. And as I said in my stream earlier today, I don't really see what the Mets would be looking for if they picked up Gary Sanchez, if he, say, gets non-tendered by the Yankees. I really just don't see the benefit from a defensive side of the ball, and offensively, if the Yankees would go the lengths of non-tendering Gary Sanchez, you'd have to imagine that there's obviously good reason. We all know the reasons. Gary Sanchez, James McCann is a better defender than Gary Sanchez. Every person in the league is a better defender than Gary Sanchez. I don't know. I think Gary Sanchez and doing what he did, was it the 9-11 game, the Subway Series between the Mets and the Yanks, allowing the Mets to get that run to score. I think that was a good example of why you shouldn't go after Gary Sanchez, if I'm being honest. Let's look at Gary's numbers in 2021 though, because I am curious about it. I find it funny. Again, shout out everybody in the chat, folks. I don't know where we are in the like count again, but help us get a 500 plus likes. Help us get a 12K subs for the next short-term goal. If you too are enjoying this live stream of all the latest stuff regarding the New York Mets. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. Really, really appreciate you all. Let's see how bad Gary's numbers are. Yeah, big whiff rate, big K rate. The Mets don't need Gary Sanchez. I get it that he's connected to Billy Epler during Epler's time with the Yankees and his familiarity with Brian Cashman, but I'm not on that Gary Sanchez wave. Sanchez is a DH. That's fair. Gary is a DH. Could that benefit him a lot? Maybe. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know, man. There's similarities between Wilson Ramos and Gary Sanchez for sure during Wilson's time as a Met. Wilson's first year with the Mets was really good, and his offense outplayed his defense, in my opinion. Second year, not at all. Yeah, I find it very hard to get on the Gary Sanchez wave. And the assumption that he gets non-tendered. I don't even think that happens. I actually don't think that happens much at all now. Because of the fact that a lot of Yankees fans, including my boy Pat at Unhinged Yankees, dream catcher that they wanted was Jacob Stallings. And Stallings got traded to the Miami Marlins earlier today. So Stallings is off the board for the Yankees as a potential fit catching-wise. So I do find it a little hard to believe that the Yankees would even part ways with him. McNeil or Escobar as DH. I think Escobar is going to be more used for his defensive ability. He could be toyed as a DH option, especially if the Mets do lock in all on both Baez and also potentially someone else at third base. All cap wouldn't put me in timeout. I didn't put you in timeout, Marco. So if someone put you in timeout, I don't know why. That's out of my control. I don't know what you did to make my mods upset. Bro, it's always a pleasure hearing you. Until next time, of course, CC. Have a great night, my man. Again, we're still chugging on for a bit, folks. We'll go on at least another half hour here. Again, I don't know if we're going to find out any news tonight. I would like to. I really hope that we do. MLB Nerds is ready to start a Twitter space. I'll check in to see it for hobby news. Okay, make sure to let me know. Yan Gomes is it. I'm glad you're bringing up Yan Gomes, because if the Mets are going to consider anyone catching-wise, why not go after the catcher that worked so well during his time with Mad Max and the Nationals when they won a World Series in 2019? Wouldn't be opposed to that at all. Yan Gomes has been a solid catcher, nothing crazy at all. But again, you're not looking for much for the position right now. And again, if that's something that Scherzer would be in favor of, I wouldn't be opposed to it. The only issue, though, is that for better or worse, you have to deal with that James McCann contract. It's not going anywhere. And Tomas Nido has proven to be very solid at times. So, especially defensively, Nido's a stud. So, it's hard for me to find where Yan Gomes would fit with this team. It really is. Have I heard what Baez is asking for? I've heard rumors about what Baez is asked for. Is there anything like actual... Is there substance to it right now? Like, is there an actual report on what Baez is currently asking for? Let me know, guys. All I've seen is strictly rumors. Keith, my man, appreciate you chiming. You don't think moves are going to happen tonight? Again, they might not. They might. We're so close to the December deadline that I won't be surprised if we do get stuff tonight still. Meeting the Max, that's awesome. I cannot wait to frame the newspaper I'm going to get tomorrow on Max Scherzer. It's going to be amazing. What do I think will get done before lockout? I think before the lockout, we're going to see I think we might see Castellanos before lockout. I think we might see we still might see Baez before lockout. We might see Baez soon on a decision. I think KB, I'm feeling up in the air on if Baez will be KB if will be before or after lockout. I know that there's been a lot of things going on with him. Pitching wise, I think that Kikuchi could be had with, because I know the Toronto Blue Jays have shown interest in Kikuchi as well. They might be aggressive, get something done before the lockout. Rodon, I really don't know. Rodon's a wild card because there really hasn't been any reporting on him that I've seen outside of the Mets having connections with him today. Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know exactly how many more players are going to come before. I think we're still going to see a wave of moves. But if it's going to be all the big names and stuff, I don't expect that. You know, I think guys like Carlos Correa, especially, and some of the other big names in free agency are going to wait a little bit. How do I feel about Epler? Haven't heard your opinion on him. Thomas, I've said endlessly, I'm so happy with what Billy Epler has done. He's done everything fantastic at this point. Is this live? 9:36 p.m.? Yes, it is. Yes, there's a reason why I got Billy Epler on the wall behind me. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. I really do. And I really hope, you know, I can't say enough good things about the man. Off to a fantastic start with the Mets. Javy is apparently down to Mariners and Mets. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. And we're almost at 500 likes in the stream, guys. Again, thank you so much for the support. Continue to smash that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying the live stream, as always, folks. Thank you so much for that. Is Baez signing tonight? I don't know. Big wild card on Baez. I don't know if he's signing tonight. Really, really don't. One person that I do want to touch on here quick, though, before we go further, is one of the last talking points that I have on the list here before we just get into more Q&A and stuff like that. And that is Brad Ausmus. Because I know a lot of people do not want Brad Ausmus as the manager for the Mets, and I completely understand that. But Brad Ausmus was the manager for the Detroit Tigers when Max Scherzer was with them. And something that Mike Puma threw out earlier is actually fair, because one, Ausmus has a really good connection with the Angels and Billy Epler. You know, we hired him and then fired him. But again, that was more so because of the Angels not giving him benefit of the doubt when he had no pitching to work with in his 1 year as manager. But he does have that connection with Scherzer. So Baez is asking for 6 years, $200 million. That's a high AAV for 6 years, Javy. That's a damn high AAV. It's hard. I don't know about that one. That's tough. That's very tough. But yes, I'll be very curious to see if the Mets and getting Scherzer will be a say at all in potentially interest with Brad Ausmus when the lockout begins and when they start their entire managerial search. Sports, I've talked about Shane Bieber already. It's not happening. Promise you that. I don't see a world where Shane Bieber comes to the New York Mets anytime soon. Yeah, no. Just that $200 million over 6 years, man. That's crazy. I understand that we're in a position right now where the market is heavily in Baez's favor, but I don't see it. I don't see 200 over 6. I like, if the Mets do that, 200 over 7. That's still a lot, but I can understand that more. But over 6, man, I don't know. We'll see how tight Baez and Lindor really are. I mean, yes. I mean, that's again, as much as Baez and Lindor love and appreciate each other, this is obviously a huge decision for Javy, no less. And I don't blame him if he's going for the biggest payday. You know, if that is what it is, we'll see if that's what the Mets are not. Again, I'm still very optimistic on the Baez front. I really, really hope they keep him. Just came in. You think we get Rodon? I would love if the Mets get Rodon on a mid-level deal. But something tells me they may not get Rodon, and they may go to either Kikuchi or someone in the trade type route on a good price. Nothing's impossible at all. They have shown interest in Rodon. Rodon's just such a huge wild card, not because of his injuries, but really there's just been nothing reported on him at all this offseason outside of what was said today. The Mets have been connected to him. That's really the only thing. There hasn't been much of any talk on Carlos Rodon outside of today. Today was like the first day that we actually got some substance on the Mets having some level of interest on him. I would do a 3 or 4 year deal for Rodon. I think 3 years would be awesome. 4 years, if there has to be an option, I could live with. But I think 3 years would be a nice sweet spot because he's looking for a multi-year deal. And the Mets obviously shouldn't commit crazy long-term to Rodon, not knowing what his health certainty is with his shoulder. And, he come a great year, but an anomaly of a year in his walk season. So there's always going to be risk involved when you evaluate a player like that. MLB Nerd says Mets are likely closer to a deal than before. Nothing official. Javi would likely sign by the afternoon tomorrow. Let's see. Likely was signed by the afternoon tomorrow for time for physical, and Mets are perceived favorite. Well, that's good. Well, that's if that report from MLB Nerds again. I don't know how reliable the guy is, so I'm not going to put too much stock in it. I could see Baez making a decision tomorrow, especially because they need to get those pending physicals in. So we'll see on the Baez front. Again, if we get news tonight, awesome. And if we don't, it is what it is. All I hope is that the Mets keep Javi first and foremost. That is what is really, really important to me. I want that man back in Queens. I think he'll be electric. Middle infield. Just thought of Baez, Lindor, and Marte as your lock, and that middle defense is the best in baseball, man. It's hard to argue that's not. It's amazing. $180 for 6, my prediction on Javi. Okay. We get Baez. Tyler will pitch. I could throw you a nice Yusuf. Is it a Yusuf? No, it's not called a Yusuf. What's it called? You guys know what I'm talking about. We're just like this huge, ball that you toss up and then you drop it for a strike. Escobar, Lindor, and Baez. Couldn't disagree more, Wardy. In regards to Baez, again, you're either really in favor of Baez or you're not. I don't think I can really sway too many people more on being in favor against Baez. You just have to let his play continue to do the talking. He clearly did that. I think if you're at this point and you're fan him as a fan and you're still holding things against Baez based on the thumbs down notion, you're clearly too focused on something so childish and not on what matters most. And that's individual performance, and that's helping a team win. He literally impacted Sandy and Steve Cohen so much after that ordeal and publicly made it known to Sandy and Steve that he was at fault. No one else was at fault but him. He didn't mean for everything to come across the way it did. He was just trying to help get a rally going for the team. And how he held himself accountable resonates so well with ownership and Sandy that they themselves had a complete 180 on their viewpoint, especially Sandy. Sandy's a stubborn guy. We know that. So to see Sandy be such a heavy advocate of someone is really, like Baez, is really interesting too. So again, I do think that the Mets really, really want to keep Baez. Rosenthal hasn't tweeted anything. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Push Rodon and use him for trade bait. Why are you going to use him for trade bait if he can be effective in the rotation? That's silly. Just hope that he does well and that you have an awesome 1, 2, 3 on in your rotation. That's what you have then. You've warmed up to Baez returning. There you go. A lot of people I've interacted with have went a complete 180 on Baez. And I said, I'll say time and time again, look, there's always going to be players that rub you the wrong way. Whether it's based on their personal personality, maybe it's just a mishap that they had on the field that just it's always going to bother you. But there's nothing more important from a fan's, at least in my opinion. This is my opinion. I don't see how anything is more important than their performance on the field and helping a team win. Javy Baez took another level in his game with the New York Mets. There's no denying that. The guy had a 380 on-base clip, 299 average, over 800 OPS, obviously. An absolute stud. 9 home runs, 22 RBIs, I believe. Just an on-base phenom for a guy that strikes out as much as he does. Really, really commanded the strike zone well during his time with the Mets. And I don't know if that's someone that we should thank Lindor for helping him, them be good friends and helping them, in BP and stuff. I don't know if that's something that we should thank the Mets for a lot, for helping him with his approach. But Baez is a guy that needed to change the scenery, I feel, to really unlock more on him and be more consistent, just not be so swing and miss. Again, he's going to be a strikeout king. We know that. But if you can minimize that, if you can lessen that, than, the career highs he's had in recent years, that's a great thing. And all indication is what we've seen from so far was awfully impressive. And as long as that continues, I don't see how Javy Baez won't be a stud for the Mets for multiple years to come. And let's not forget one of the best infield gloves in baseball. Just a beast. Best signing since Pedro. That being in Scherzer, yes, absolutely. Managers is still very premature. I just brought Brad Ausmus up today because of his connection with Scherzer and Billy Epler. Bane Bond, says Steve Cohen in the chat. Love that. This and the trade deadline are my favorite times of the year. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what I want my favorite time of the year to be, though, is all throughout the year, right? And especially down the stretch in the fall. I want that to be the best time of the year, knowing that the Mets are on a deep playoff run. And hopefully we get that starting next season, right? Where am I putting Cano? I'm putting Cano off the roster. I don't think Cano will even be on the Mets in 2022. That is my bold take. You're hearing it here first. I think that the Mets figure out some scenario where Robinson Cano is not a factor on the Mets. Again, he obviously could be. He could be a bench guy, but I'll be a little surprised if Robinson Cano is at all a factor for the Mets in 2022. Jim, thank you so much for the kind words, my man. I appreciate you. Hyping the chat for Jim. The kind words as well. Hyping the chat to everybody that's been following along. The likes and the subscriptions and the support, guys. Great stream as always. Not surprised. You guys kill it. Reports that White Sox are pursuing Conforto. They've been sneakily in on him for a bit now. Again, if Michael's going to go anywhere, I really hope he goes to the White Sox. As someone who my favorite AL team is the White Sox, I would love that. So that way I can continue rooting for my man. Yeah, I'm not against that at all. Just imagine Matt Allen getting all that knowledge from Angry Bird Max and oh my goodness, yes, exactly, yeah. I'm so glad he brought that up in regards to the knowledge that Scherzer brings, because it's something that when you think about a veteran acquisition like Scherzer, there's people denouncing it, but man, there's so many reasons as to why this is huge for the Mets, obviously, but the veteran leadership and knowing what it takes to win and getting to pick the brain of Max Scherzer is something rare. Not a lot of people can do it. So if you're given the opportunity to do it, you should absolutely take full advantage as a respective pitcher. And people, I think, are going to benefit and greatly from that. Schwarber being pursued by Phillies, I'm not surprised. Schwarber would make plenty. I really hope the Phillies don't get Schwarber, though. He's going to murder the Mets. Even if he's just DH, he's going to murder the Mets. He makes sense for most DH because the guy can't field. Same thing with Nick Castellanos. What are the Mets really looking at Gary Sanchez? There's just rumors that the Mets could consider the idea of looking at him if he's non-tendered by the Yankees, but it feels less and less likely that he would be non-tendered by the Yankees now that a guy that has been connected to them in a bit was traded today, a catching option that they would like. Jacob Stallings, the same man who hit that times batting average of like .036 grand slam to walk it off in Pittsburgh off Edwin Diaz, in which I was in front row. I was at that game in Pittsburgh, my only game in Pittsburgh that I've been to yet. Front row, right behind the dugout, right behind Mets dugout, front row, to witness that and just walk away in shame. But Stallings, that same catcher who's a defensive guy, not an offensive guy, got traded to Miami today. So because of that, it seems less likely that Sanchez would be parted with by the Yanks. Wardy, remember the season was falling apart and we kept wondering what would happen in the offseason? I would have never imagined this. Yeah, no, I agree. I did not think that Scherzer was happening. Again, what a blessing this has been. Suzuki to Mets thoughts? I would love it, John, but I don't think it's going to happen. I would absolutely love it, but I think the Mets are done on the outfield front. I don't see them doing anything crazy outfield-wise other than more depth moves, if I'm being honest. If they get Suzuki, I would be pumped, but I wouldn't bet on it right now. MLB Puerto Rico on Twitter. Okay, let's check that out. Yo, what? Guys, MLB Puerto Rico verified, obviously, it's just the MLB account for Puerto Rico, tweeted that Buenos noches PR and that a handshake, that like a signing, like an agreement happened. Who would that be? I can only imagine that would be Javy Baez. What do they know, bro? What do they know? Do you guys think? I don't see Correa signing pre-lockout. I don't see that happening, dude. If the Mets got Correa, I think I don't know what I would do. I love Baez, but I really want Baez back on the Mets, but I could be content if it means they got Correa. That's the one exception. But I think it's about why would they tweet that? Come on. Come on. I'll show you guys a tweet. Hold on. Look at this, guys. What do you think this means? Because this is literally the verified MLB Puerto Rico account going out here trolling with everyone. What do we think this means? This is rude. Come on. What's up, Jim? Everyone, hype in the chat for Ball Cap Sports. We love Jim over here. He does great baseball content as well, all throughout the offseason too. Shout out to you, Jim. They're acting like they're trolling. They really are. They really, really are. Man, that's annoying. Well, I guess we'll see. Let's get another deal done. I hope so, Jim. All right. I guess we'll wait. We'll wait a little bit longer. Credit me for spotting. I know, Matthew. Shout out to you, Matthew. You did spot that. Hype in the chat to Matthew. He's the one who spotted that. Appreciate that. They definitely could. I mean, that would be so rude if they're trolling, though. They have no right to be doing that right now. No right whatsoever. What does this mean? Hold on, folks. I'm just trying to see if there's any updates on this. Carlos with the $5 donation. Thank you so much for that, Carlos. Do I think that this team is more talented than the 2006 team? It's not finalized yet, so I cannot answer that. Really, really appreciate the donation, though. Hype in the chat for Carlos. Thank you so much, my man. They're talented, all right, but way too early to suggest how this roster is going to be. If it's got to get said and done first. Castillo trade the Angels, maybe. I don't know how their prospects capital looking for something like that. I know that they've had preliminary discussions with the Angels yesterday. A report came out regarding Castillo. Phillies are close to acquiring Kyle Schwarber. Where did you get that report, Alec? I mean, I really, really hope that the Phillies. Oh my God, Kyle Schwarber playing the Mets in the same division, bro. He hit 10 home runs against us. I get why they're doing it. They're obviously not getting any defensive help here, so. I know White Sox are shopping Craig Kimbrell. That's by no means, new. People are just trolling right now. Okay. All right. So maybe there is nothing on the Schwarber front. We'll see. The Marlins are in our Schwarber? I could see that. Heyman reported it? Okay. I don't see how it's regarding anyone else but Baez. We're talking free agency. I'll explain the lockout. All right, I've done it, but I'll do it simple terms. Lockout means that because until the MLB, the CBA, this collective bargaining agreement is renewed, there's a new contract in place between the players union and the league. There is no ability to do transactions of any sort, whether that's free agency signings or trades at the MLB level, until they get a new contract in place. And they're far in negotiations right now, and the contract is up in December. It has to be renewed. So until that is renewed, we're going to have ourselves a lockout. Hopefully not too long, but again, it could drag out for a bit. Will the Mets address the manager situation? They plan to during the lockout. I know Correa is Puerto Rican, but is Correa really going to sign beforehand? I don't think Correa signs pre-lockout. That would really surprise me. I think that we gotta see if any Baez news comes soon. Just have the definition of the lockout up now. There's no need for me to read something that I already know. All right, guys, everybody in the chat, let me know. Do you think Javy Baez signs somewhere tonight? Yes or no in the chat. Let me know. Nick, at the 7-line game, yes. Yes, my man. I appreciate it. It was also meeting you. It was also meeting so many great people at the 7-line game. I had so much fun in Boston. Appreciate you chiming in, my man. All right, we got a bunch of yeses. We got some nos. Okay. Feeling pretty split right now, huh? More yeses I'm seeing, actually. Okay. It's going to be exactly how it was with Scherzer last night. It's going to look like something gets done tonight, but it actually won't until tomorrow. All right, we'll do a poll. And guys, help us get to 700 likes for the next short-term goal in the stream, folks. If you're watching this live or on replay, thank you so much in advance, folks. And help us get 12K subs as well if you guys are enjoying this consistent Mets content. Thank you guys as always. Let's get a poll going. Get a poll in the chat going. I was at the 7-line game. September 21st. Was that no, that wasn't the one in Boston, was it? I do think I was at the 7-line game the 21st. Brooklyn Mets, it is rude if they purposely just throw stuff out this to get us worked up. Let's see. With the DH and NL, neither DeGrom nor Scherzer will have to hit. Correct. Less chance of injury. That's also correct because Jake got hurt on multiple swings in the first half of the season. Report that Dodgers are aggressively pursuing Freddie Freeman. Logan, unless you got defensive where that report's coming from, I don't know what to say. Is DH official? It should be made official after the new CBA is agreed upon. Yep, Jacob Stallings did go to the Marlins. We're aware of that. I had a kind of a feeling Story would go to the Rangers too. And a weird twist, I saw reported earlier that the Rockies are actually showing interest in bringing Story back, which again, I don't know why in God's name Story would want to go back to the Rockies, but what do I know? Or am I still thinking Baez signs with the Mets? Everything I've seen shows that Baez is not. No, there's nothing saying that Baez won't come back to the Mets. That isn't true. We have seen reports again that they were far apart multiple hours ago, according to SNY. But again, all it takes is one phone call to change that. I do think that the Mets are still the front runner for Baez. I 100% do. I just want to know when we get an answer. Yeah, no, us in the 7 line, we don't partake in the wave. We're not about that nonsense. Pretty sure Baez is a Met. What's up, Nathan? Yeah, again, I hope so. What do I feel about Jeff McNeil? I think Jeff McNeil is going to bounce back just fine, but I don't think that there's great certainty that it'll be with the Mets next season. I think that there's a decent chance McNeil gets traded this offseason. Just as they said in my 5 players who won't return to the Mets next season video that a lot of you guys liked and a lot of you guys were not happy that I mentioned McNeil, even though I said that I don't want to see McNeil go. I'm just being a realist here. I think there's, especially if he's like the biggest piece of a bigger deal, I don't see why he wouldn't be of consideration. Teams are already giving calls on Jeff McNeil as we have here on the screen. We're getting close to 600 likes. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate that a lot. JD and McNeil trade for pitching. Could be. Very well could be. McNeil for Kimbrel? Hell no. No, that would be a horrid trade by the Mets. Well, guys, we're almost at 11.5K. Thank you so much for that, folks. Like I said, we're trying to get a 12K for the next short-term goal. Getting really, really close. So if you guys would like to help us get to that short-term goal as well, if we do hit 12K this week, we will do 3 giveaways on the channel. So keep that in mind. There's further incentive. So don't you guys worry. Do you think we could trade for Hader? No, I don't. I think it'll cost an arm and a leg for Hader. Mets suck. I'd be complaining to Bronx Bomber, knowing that your Yankees simply can't do anything this offseason. Must be a little upsetting to not be the big boy in town with the big bucks at least, huh? Get used to it. Both are going to thrive in New York, though. I promise you. Just it's not going to be nearly as lopsided as what you have experienced as a Yankee fan your entire life. Do these fake Passons and Heymans have nothing to do with their lives? No, they don't. Brandon with the $5 donation. Thank you so much for that, my man. Having the chat for Brandon. No, I don't think Freeman to the Dodgers is realistic at all. No, I don't think it is. Sorry for the spam, but out of all the great signs today, where do you believe Correa will end up? Detroit are the suitors. It's hard to believe that it won't be Detroit. I just don't understand. It would be contradicting, I will say, because he's going to get a bag. I mean, look, I could see Correa getting a contract easily over $350 million, man. Easily. I just don't. The Tigers seem like they're reluctant to go for that type of big contract. But I agree that there's no other team that still looks like they make the most sense other than the Tigers. So it's hard to picture a different team than Correa right now. Again, appreciate the donation, Brandon. Hype in the chat for Brandon as well with the dono. Really, really appreciate that. Can you see Syndergaard returning the Mets in 2023 when Cookie's contract expires? I think that it's nothing's impossible, but I don't see Thor coming back. You have a source that told you what the Mets offered Baez? Okay, Jim. Puerto Rico game, what's up? I know we got a lot of Puerto Ricans in here. It would be awesome if we get some Baez news tonight, too. That would make things even more sweeter. Baez to the Red Sox? No. Almost has 600 likes. Thank you, guys. Love and appreciate you all. Let's see. Baez of the Cardinals? No. You don't see Baez signing anywhere else? I hope not. Again, I'm 100% on the Baez train. I'm going to check all my updates right now and make sure that nothing's changed. And guys, shout out to my girl Nina in the chat. That is, in fact, my girlfriend. So everyone say hi to Nina. She is a fellow Puerto Rican, as many of you guys are too. So she's an advocate for Baez. Not just because of that, though. Heard the Mets want to give Nimmo an extension. I've heard rumblings that I really hope they do. I think Nimmo is absolutely deserving of an extension. I 100% want the Mets to try to lock him down. What's next for the Mets? It's starting pitching, bullpen, Baez. That's what's next. Jack Ramsey tweet. Jack Ramsey doesn't have sources. I don't know how many times I need to say this. It's nothing personal against Jack. I have no ill will against the guy. But stop putting stock into people that act as if they have sources when they don't. Okay? He has sources, but by all means, when the guy is literally less than 50% accurate with a lot of things that are going on, you shouldn't be putting stock in them. There's a reason why you should wait for the more reliable guys. Michael Mayer is a really reliable guy, Mets-wise. Even as frustrating as this is to say, Andy Martino has been very reliable this offseason. I despise the guy, but he has been on his game a lot, and he's the one who even broke the Scherzer news today. Mike Puma, to a certain extent, Mike Puma's definitely been up in the air at times, but again, there's a lot more reliable sources. Mike hasn't gotten a lot wrong, though. No, that's inaccurate. No, he's gotten some things wrong, but he's been far more right than he was wrong. He even broke the Robbie Ray trade today. Jeff Passan even called him out for it. Signing, not trade, pardon me. Did it say my dad grew up? Yeah, my dad did grow up in Queens. That is correct. Couldn't even finish my sentence on Martino. No, I couldn't. What's up, Tyler Schneider? Thank you for chiming in, my man. Can shout out everybody in the chat. My friend said Mets have offered by it. I mean, that'd be awesome if they have. But again, what does your friend know that I don't? How many more planned streams do you have for this week? Chris, I'm sure we'll be streaming again tomorrow, especially if news doesn't happen tonight. I don't think news is going to happen tonight, if I'm being honest with you. I'll be a little surprised if it does at this rate. I mean, look, anything's possible. I genuinely don't know what is going to transpire tonight. We have reached a little stalemate with moves tonight, so we'll see. I fully expect to stream tomorrow, though. I think the Mets are going to make multiple signings within the next 24 hours, which is going to mean that we have to stream and talk about all those signings and get excited about them. And hopefully they're great things that happen. Sign Suzuki. I would love Suzuki. I just don't think it's likely. How much could we get if we trade McNeil, Dom, or Davis? All depends on what exactly they're looking for. Because Dom doesn't have much value currently other than his contract. McNeil has by far the most value. And JD's a wild card because he can't play defense. My Thanksgiving was great, Brian. Hope yours was well too. I don't have season tickets. No, I don't reside in New York, guys. I live in Pennsylvania, so it's a little bit of a hike for me to get to games. Not anything too crazy, but still two plus hour drive. So no, I don't have season tickets. Hopefully one day though, that'd be awesome. Oh, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. Vintage Mets, my man. I know. Vintage Mets, shout out to you and your Vintage Mets collection. Absolutely love the stuff you've been doing, my man. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Win. Appreciate that too. Shout out everybody. Train for Chapman from the A's still a possibility? Yes, it's still possible. I just don't think it's likely. And you live near Valley Forge? Okay, nice. So like Philly area? I don't think that Chapman is likely for the sole purpose of Eduardo Escobar. If the Mets didn't sign Eduardo Escobar, I think there's a far stronger likelihood. I just think, the Mets already have a short-term third base option if they keep Baez and Escobar. Why would they trade for Chapman, which would be exactly a short-term third base option? So I would love Chapman. I'm not betting the house on it at all. I look like Conforto. I get that a lot. Yeah. Angel, thank you so much, my man. I appreciate you. Again, appreciate everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for chiming in. I hope you guys have been enjoying the live stream. We're past 2 hours now. I don't know if Baez happens tonight. Let's check on the poll, shall we? Okay, 58% of you guys don't think Javy Baez has a decision until tomorrow. And guys, we're less than 100 likes from 700. Continue smashing that like and subscribe on. Help us get to 12K subs for the next short-term goal on WardyNYM as well. And thank you all so much in advance for the continued support, folks. Twitter is didn't. I know we have this entire dry spell. My dad was born in Allentown. Awesome. Yeah, I'm not far from that at all, Jason. I think Baez goes to the Tigers. I think that could be a very realistic spot for him still. I don't see many other teams that can really that'll go after him. I don't think Correa is happy tonight. There's like no way. I genuinely don't see Correa happening tonight. That is. And guys, shout out everybody too that's been tagging me and stuff, keeping me up to date on Twitter. I really appreciate that. No, I don't have Instagram, but I will have one set up heading into the season, I'm sure. I definitely got to get on every platform. That's been like literally a year overdue. But thank you to everyone that's been tagging me and stuff. The only reason why I have been liking tweets again, as I said earlier in the live stream, Twitter, for whatever reason, decided to suspend me for 3 days. So I can't like, retweet, or follow people. It's a joke. Twitter, being stupid, color me surprised. The platform's a joke to begin with. So let's see if they ban me for talking smack. I don't know. Will Cano stay with the Mets? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how you part ways with that contract, given the fact that it's a terrible contract to try to trade away that someone would be able to take on. At the same time, though, I don't think the Mets want Cano on this roster at all next season. And there's literally no room for him right now. Is Familia a free agent? Yes, and that's a good thing. That's nothing personal against Familia, but I think that time has ended in Queens. Hopefully. What's the chance we get Rodon? There's a decent chance the Mets get Rodon, but I think it would have to be on a shorter term deal. I don't see the Mets going long term for him at all. Javy Baez to the Dodgers rumors are circulating. Let those rumors continue to commence because that's all that they will stay. Rumors. I'm knocking on wood, though. Keep that in mind. Not trying to jinx anything. Don't sleep on Mark Vientos. I agree. Vientos is a stud. As long as the Mets, I don't see the Mets training him at this rate. So I definitely can see Vientos making impact. Joe Kelly, I don't see the Mets going after Joe Kelly. That one I would be surprised by if the Mets went after Joe Kelly. I really would. Good. Shout out everybody in the chat, folks. Thank you all so much that have been chiming into this point, guys. I'll be right back. I'll be back in literally 1 minute. Just a quick bathroom break. But let me know in the chat right now, guys. Who do you think? I shouldn't even ask that. I'm trying to think of a good question for you guys while I'm gone. What do you think is the likelihood of Baez coming to the Mets, percentage-wise? What do you think it is of him coming back to the Mets? I think it's very strong, but I'm curious to know what everyone else's stances are. So let me know. I'll be back in 1 second, folks. Stay beautiful. Stay classy. Be back in a sec. Okay. Martino, cap. Stop typing. What's everybody saying? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Am I still out of focus? Give me 1 second, folks. Hold on. There we go. Check text. Oh, I saw, Thomas. Yeah, so just further uncertainty. Gotcha. Appreciate the info. Say there's about 80% chance Baez returns, okay? I hope that it's strong likelihood like that. I do think it is. I really do. I get it that we saw reports. Oh, wait, Lindor tweeted the eyes. When did Lindor tweet the eyes? Don't lie. Please don't lie. But again, I don't see what benefit you do in getting lying here. If anyone can, Lindor isn't tweeting. Lindor's only been active on I've only seen Lindor active on Instagram lately. I haven't seen him active on Twitter. So tweet the eyes from Matt Max. See, that would make sense. If Lindor tweeted the eyes right now, then I can understand why it's like insinuating Baez. $5 donation here from Tony. Tony, my man, thank you so much for the $5 donation. From Doug Rush 24 hours ago from Baez's camp. They want to sign by tonight if that means anything. Okay. I don't, we'll see. I don't have crazy optimism on something happening tonight. I would like it, but again, I'm not getting my hopes up. Thank you so much for the donation, Tony. Shout out again to Doug Rush. He's been doing a great job with his coverage. What do we out of nowhere? Tomas needs to leak. Yeah, Nito 100% needs to leak something if it's about Baez. The fellow Puerto Rican's got to give us something, right? He has to. All I can say, though, what a fantastic job by the Mets throughout everything here, man. They've just done an immaculate job. Chafe in her hand? Oh, Andrew Chafe. It's not even close. Brad Hand is pond scum in comparison to Andrew Chafin right now. With all due respect to Brad Hand. 69%. Nice. Jake with the $2 donation. Thank you so much, Jake. Is this offseason already an A+? 1,000% it's already an A+. Yes. Yes. We getting a Mad Max bobblehead night? I hope so. I really want a Mad Max bobblehead. I want a Mad Max jersey. Beautiful. Jake, thank you for the $2 donation. I appreciate that. Owen with the $5 donation. Keep up the good work, new subscriber. Let's go Mets. Owen, my man, thank you so much. And guys, we're right around 500 subs away already from 12K on the channel. So continue to smash that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying the stream. Like I said, if we do in fact hit 12K this week, we'll do an even third giveaway on the channel. As long as if it comes really within the next couple days before I get my giveaway video out. And that's just to really further thank everyone for their continued support. Appreciate that donation again, my man. Would I rather Chase and Shreve than Brad Hand? Honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to a Chase and Shreve reunion. I think that he would do just fine. Thomas is giving away a jersey, Scherzer jersey on Twitter. Make sure to check it out. 20K subs by opening day. That would be awesome. That would, I don't see it happening, but that'd be fantastic. As long as Conforto stays away from the NL East teams, I'm cool. Yeah, agreed. I do not need to see that man in a Phillies outfit at all. Yeah, I don't think Shreve was happy when we let him go either. I don't see him coming back, but if I had to pick between him or Hand, I could see upside in a reunion with him. Have we heard any comment from Jacob deGrom? No, and you're not going to hear one anytime soon. I doubt it. Phillies acquired. I know the Phillies are interested in Corey Knebel and Kyle Schwarber. That's actually just came out through MLB trade rumors. That's further reported. Phillies, yes, not focus on that defense too much. They just need any outfielder that they get. Schwarber makes perfect sense as a DH, not as an outfielder in my mind. Casey, thank you so much. I appreciate that for the kind words. Hi in the chat, everybody. I did. Oh my God. Oh, I'm so glad you brought up the Marcell Ozuna news. Let's talk about that for a minute. What a screw job by the MLB guys. Look, if there's one thing the MLB, the NHL, and the NFL have in common, like any other major sport, they don't know how to discipline if it smacked them across the face. Marcell Ozuna, charged with assault to, his wife, child abuse because of what transpired when he was out with injury this past season. Suspended 20 effing games. Uh-oh, Tim Healy tweet, unfortunately. Oh, no. And okay, I'd have to go more into it, Jesus. But again, from what I know, it doesn't look good. Oh. It is doubtful, source says, that the Mets pull off any additional deals this week. Still, their pre-lockout haul has become an impressive one. Scherzer, Marte, Canna, and Escobar. I got to be honest with you. Healy, not that his source is wrong. Healy has credible sources. I still think that the Mets are going to make at least one more signing before the lockout happens. I will be surprised if that doesn't happen. I would be very surprised in that. But yes, according to Tim Healy, again, if you guys are just chiming in, it is doubtful, source says, that the Mets pull off any additional deals this week. I don't think the Mets are out on Baez. I don't. I'm gonna stand by that until proven otherwise. I don't think that they're out on him. If the Mets don't plan to do anything of significance, however, until after the lockout again, and Baez is adamant about getting a deal done before lockout, then okay. That might be an issue. I will say, though, it's going to be a huge bummer if the Mets don't keep Baez. I think that Baez, you still have to do everything possible to keep him, man. Especially after giving up, Pete Crow Armstrong for him. We'll see what the price point comes to. I'm still going to stay optimistic. Again, anything can change right now, so we'll see. Yes, Andy Martino did say that there's a potential Brandon Nimmo extension and that the Athletics might be a potential trade partner, as I discussed earlier about the Athletics part. Angel, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Nice job for us. Thank you so much. We need to keep blowing up on tough as nails. Rosario Fam, Gomes, Alex Wood, Soler, keep Jeff Barica from Dallas. Thank you so much, Angel. Appreciate that. Well, Alex Wood is with the Giants. Gomes, I could see as a potential fit catching wise, but again, they have Nito and McCann, so it's still a head scratcher. But I understand because of his connection with Scherzer. Tommy Pham, depth option, possibly. Eddie Rosario, I don't see happening. Soler, I don't see happening unless it would be solely DH. And even that, I don't feel strong about. But again, appreciate the donation a lot, Angel. Again, they have a lot more moves that they'll be doing. We'll see though. A lot of uncertainty on I still feel confident about Baez. I'm going to stand by that, but we'll see what comes of this. But with saying that, folks, we're going to wrap things up at 11. So we're going to go another half hour on really just going over the news and everything, just continuing the open Q&A. So if you guys have been chiming in this entire time to my 1,000 viewers, thank you guys so much. Appreciate the love and support as always. Again, really, really hope that El Mago stays in Queens. I really think that relationship will stay. I will say, though, if Baez does leave the Mets, I can understand why he would, given the market, how it has transpired right now. If he's really looking for the bag and he's looking at that Simeon and now the Story contract, the Seager contract, that could be an X factor here. So we'll see. We will see what happens on his front. But I really, really do think that there's a lot of optimism regarding Baez still. And I will hold that until proven otherwise. Why do I think Scherzer was avoiding the Mets so much? He wasn't avoiding the Mets. I mean, when it went back to him not going to the Mets via trade, possibly at the trade deadline, one, the Mets didn't have good assets to even try to land him. And two, the Nationals had zero desire of trying to trade Scherzer within the division. Sniper, thank you so much for the $5 donation. They should make a Mad Max bobblehead, but him as the Terminator, but instead of the red eye, put an orange eye. That'd be sick. I like the way you think. You got to get talking to everyone in charge of the Mets and get that figured out. Appreciate the donation, my man. No, Schwarber seems like he's more of a likelihood to the Phillies than anyone else right now. Baez or Story? Baez. Because Baez knows how to handle second base just fine. And I think he just brings a huge element to this team. Robbie Hyde, thank you so much for the donation, my man. Appreciate that. Hype in the chat for Robbie Hyde, folks. If you guys don't know Robbie, he does great baseball content. Make sure to check him out. He does endless live streams as well, covering all the offseason moves for the MLB and great stuff overall. Hope all is well, good sir. Thank you. Appreciate the donation, Robbie. Baez will be so much better for the Mets over Cano. Oh, of course. If Cano ends up being second base, who do you think what do you think he puts up in 2022? Well, Robbie, simply put, I don't think Cano is at all going to be a starter because the Mets have a second baseman option. Should it not be Javy Baez, and his name is Eduardo Escobar, because Escobar can play third and second just fine. I think the Mets would be far more inclined to address the third base position with someone either free agency or the trade market in this scenario where Baez does walk, and then they would have Escobar at second. I think that makes the most sense for the team, and I think that there's a very good likelihood that that Cano at least does not actually play a game for the Mets next season. Again, a lot of hurdles that will need to be had here. And if Jeff McNeil does stay with the Mets, that's another good guy to keep in mind too. He would be going at second base. That's actually a great point. I'm really glad Thomas brought that up. Yes, McNeil would most likely be at second and Escobar at third. But if McNeil is traded, then I'm saying Escobar at second and someone via trade or free agency at third. But I'm glad Thomas brought him up because I completely blanked on McNeil for a second. So I have no clue what his future is right now. But again, everyone hyping the chat to Robbie for the donation. Really, really appreciate that, my man. Justin with the $2 donation. My Wardy from Tap Sports Baseball? No. I'm Wardy from here. That's all I'm Wardy from. Appreciate the donation, Justin. You think they're trying to trade McNeil first? No, not necessarily. But I think the Mets will have a heavy reluctance to try parting with McNeil if they lose Baez. I think if they get Baez, then it doesn't seem like I think there's a far greater likelihood of McNeil being traded if Baez re-signs with the Mets. But if Baez walks, then that's a scenario where do you consider McNeil at second, even though that him and Lindor had their issues this year. McNeil is a good second baseman, but he goes against the shift, which is a problem considering that the Mets will be using the shift, whether they like it or not. Lindor hates a shift, but he does it, and he does it flawlessly because he knows what it takes to win. So a lot of question marks on the McNeil front still. Opinion on the Kirby Yates signing? Low risk, high reward there, especially because it's only just over $4 million per year. I mean, we'll see how Yates bounces back because he was out all last year with injury. But yeah, I think Kirby could be fine for the Braves. Again, though, uncertainty on his point, how he's going to bounce back. I know about the Jack Ramsey tweet, guys. Again, we'll see what happens. He's just putting 2 and 2 together. Forever Ron, shout out Wardy for staying until 2:30 again. Again, Forever Ron, thank you so much for the donation, my man. I appreciate that. We will not be staying up till 2:30 on the stream, however, unless breaking news happens later. We're going to get off in right around 11 p.m. Eastern time, so a little less than a half hour. CT Splash, thank you so much for the $2 donation. A lot of people saying the Mets are out on Baez. Yeah, a lot of people are saying the Mets are out on Baez if the Mets don't do any other move of significance before the deadline. Because if Baez wants to sign before the deadline, then yeah, the Mets may lose out on him. I really hope that isn't the case. But again, we're going to find out. We're going to find out right now. Appreciate the donation, no less, Splash. Thank you so much. Gonna just double check on something right now, folks. I saw what Tim Healy said, folks. I did. Again, we're gonna see what comes of it. Healy might be right in the end, but I will be I will be surprised if the Mets don't do anything else before the lockout. I think that they will do at least one more move, even if it's lower level, like even if it's not Baez, even if it's like a bullpen move or a starting pitcher. You know, I think the Mets aren't done pre-lockout. A lot of people said we will not get Max and Marte. Exactly. Again, all it changes is one phone call, folks. That's why you can't put too much stock into these things right now. Bring up second base prospect. The Mets don't have a second base prospect of significance. So I'm not sure who you're referring to exactly. Did I hear that the guy was speaking about stream today on the Fan? No. I did not. Someone was talking about the stream on the Fan today. John, who? That's awesome. If that's true, that's insane. I don't think it is, but if it is, that's pretty damn cool. John, let me know who you're referring to though. Who would be on the Fan at 12:45? Mauricio could shift to second probably, but right now he's a man without a position for the Mets. Again, though, it changes. It changes depending on the future of Baez and McNeil. Probably how I went to 3 for an extra $50. Probably. Yeah, I don't know what show was on the Fan at 1:45 today. I don't know. Moose and Maggie's on the Fan at that time. I'll have to check it out then. I was thinking it was Moose and Maggie too. Yeah, I don't know. I'll check it out. If they did, that's really cool. But I'm not gonna get my hopes up or anything. What's going on with Trevor Story? The Rockies have actually shown an interest in trying to keep Story, which I don't see how that happens unless Story's market really isn't strong. Story's a fantastic glove, man. He's got to go somewhere else. Boomer and Gio isn't usually live at 12:45. Boomer and Gio, I think, goes till 10. And then it's like Moose and Maggie. Let's see. We strike out on Baez. Do we grab Story? I mean, Story to play second, though. I think the Mets would just settle with McNeil. I don't think that would make too much sense. Are Mets out on Baez? No, they're not out on Baez. Again, we'll see what comes of it. I don't think anything's happening tonight, though, clearly. With my luck, we're going to get off live at 11 p.m. and then 11:30. Baez resigns or something. Regardless, though, you guys know the drill. Whenever breaking news happens, we will, of course, be talking about it as it happens live. Oh, my man, thank you so much for the $2 donation. Report came out, Baez and Jays are talking. Where did you see that report, my man? Let me know. Dude, I don't... Baez would look... If Baez is going to go anywhere, I'm in favor of him going to Toronto. But I hope that doesn't happen, man. That's going to bum me out. I just hope it doesn't happen. Any further reports on that? Again, appreciate the donation, my man. Hype in the chat. $5 donation here from Storms. How many years, Max, will they give Javy? I think Mets want to go to 5, and Javy probably wants to go to 7 or 8. That's my guess. So, this is a big marker for the infielders. They're getting paid the big bucks. I think Javy will probably land on a 7-year deal, but we'll see. Thank you so much for the donation, though, my man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I haven't seen any report about Javy. Reports Javy wants to play shortstop. Again, I feel everyone's just pulling stuff out of nowhere. Again, I think a lot of people are viewing just random people on Twitter as sources. Let's refrain from that with some of these things. Let's see. Ben Nicholson Smith. Okay, let's check out. What a name. Love that name. Ben Nicholson Smith. Oh, okay. There you go. He's for Sportsnet. Makes sense. Oh, Javy Baez is the brother-in-law. Yo, wait. Baez is a brother-in-law of Barrios? I was today years old when I remember that. Dude, what? I didn't know that. Oh, come on. Please don't let that be the reason why he leaves. That would suck. They love Barrios. Nothing against that. Yeah. Javy Baez, according to a report from Jeff Blair for Sportsnet, came out at just shy of 10 p.m. tonight that, yes, the Blue Jays have interest in Javy Baez, who is the brother-in-law of Jose Barrios. Damn it. I really, really hope we still keep Baez, though. Is Lindor's relationship closer for Baez than Baez and Barrios? I don't know. I really don't know. I will say this much. Baez has been connected to Barrios very long, just like Lindor, all for, Team Puerto Rico and before that growing up. Barrios, I don't know how long he's been the brother-in-law, like they've been brother-in-laws, and that's because of Barrios's sister being who Baez is married, or vice versa. I don't know. But that could definitely be a factor. Connections like that do happen for sure. Is Jack Ramsey reliable? No. Could Mark Canha still be packaged for an elite right fielder before spring training? No. Mark Canha isn't going to get traded. Oh yeah, Lindor is doing his absolute best to keep Baez. You can guarantee that. Us Latinos do love our family. Man, I would understand. I get it. Bichette plays short. Yeah, but Bichette isn't that great at short. Baez is a better defensive shortstop than Bichette, and it's not even close. It would make sense to shift Bichette to second and put Baez at short in the scenario where he went to Toronto. If I was GM, I would go 6 years for Baez. 7 would be tough. 6 I would be comfortable with. Bichette still had his hiccups this year. I don't know. No, Bichette's bat is more superior than his defense right now. We can all agree on that. Bichette will get better. Don't get me wrong. He's young. I 100% expect him to continue to get better. But I think that Bichette is, Baez is a better defender than Bichette at this point in time. That is a fact. Mets have their chances and screwed up. No, Will might. I can't even say your name. Mill White. They literally signed Max Scherzer today, and you're going to say they screwed up about something? No. Kick rocks. Alex Cohen and Baez got the PR connection too. They do, but it's not the family connection. $5 super sticker. Thank you so much, Financial Coach. Hype in the chat for Financial Coach with the $5 super sticker. Really means a lot. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that, folks. And again, thank you so much for the likes and the subscriptions. If you guys have been enjoying the live stream, to my 900 plus viewers in the chat right now, we're almost at 700 likes, folks. Help us get to 700 likes by the end of the stream would really be appreciated. And again, thank you all so much. So people don't think, you guys, 60% of the chat now don't believe that Baez will sign a deal with a team until tomorrow. I find myself in that same category. I really do. The Mets can 1000% live without Baez. I just don't want that to be reality that we have to live in as someone who really wants Baez back and knowing how much he would impact this team going forward. Should I cancel my Baez black jersey? Insanity. That's the risk of getting a jersey when there's no certainty right now. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you to. How soon did he buy it? You had to have bought it recent. Terry, have a good night, my man. KB, I don't think KB's coming to the Mets. I don't. I think KB goes to the Mariners or the Phillies. From everything that we've seen to this point now. KB seemed like a potential fit early on, but a lot has changed since then. Chapman or Baez, two completely different positions, so you can't compare. Chapman's third, Baez would be second for the Mets. Yes, Stroh didn't give any acknowledgement to Scherzer coming to the Mets today. He's acknowledged basically every single player that's signed somewhere. Again, that's out of my jurisdiction. I'm not going to get on the tangent about what's been going on with Stroman as of late. Wouldn't Steve have told Scherzer that he's going to put the best team on the field? Well, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look, to say that McNeil needs to go is a fallacy. There's still a good chance he's on the roster next year. Let's not act like Jeff McNeil is not a talented player, whether we like or dislike his antics. But the Mets are going to do absolutely everything in their power to put on the best team on the field. If they do, in fact, fall out on Baez, odds are it's probably far more to do with Baez wanting to, one, be a shortstop, and two, potentially be with, I guess, someone like Barrios, who is his brother-in-law, more so than, the Mets not wanting to bring him back. So keep that in mind. But again, I'm still pretty optimistic on the Baez front. Any chance of Stroh now? There's nothing to say that it's impossible that Stroh comes back. I don't think it's likely, though. Are we going to trade away JD and Dom Smith? I would be surprised if they're on the Mets roster next year. Stroh or Baez more likely to return? To return, it's easily Baez. Easily, I would say, from everything we know right now. Yeah, the Baez 9-11 home run was awesome. I hope that's not the last big moment he's had with us. Do I prefer Baez over Bryant? Not necessarily. I mean, I like Baez a lot. I prefer Baez in the sense of how he can lock down that middle infield with Lindor for years to come. Bryant's awesome, but Bryant also means that you do block someone like Brett Beatty. It also means that you block other options. And Brett Beatty looks like a stud of a prospect. So if the Mets aren't trying to block Brett Beatty, it makes more sense by the day why they would have a short-term option at third base like Eduardo Escobar or potentially someone else. Baez, he's not blocking anyone of significance at second base other than Jeff McNeil, and we know the story with Jeff McNeil right now. So if we're comparing the two, yes, KB has more versatility. I would love KB on the Mets, but if you're talking about someone who's already ingrained himself in the organization, has made a great impression play-wise, it's Baez. And he would fill a role that, again, who wouldn't love seeing that dynamic duo defensively every day in that infield between Baez and Lindor? It would be the best in baseball. Just like how the Mets have the best 1-2 punch of baseball in their rotation, it would be the best 1-2 punch of a middle infield defensively in baseball with Lindor and Baez. I think Beatty can be toyed in the corner outfield, but he's mainly third base. Just sign Rodon and trade for Chapman. I don't know if that's happening, Jose. I really don't. I appreciate the donation, though. I would love both. I would love both of that. Not against that at all, as long as you don't get Rodon on a long-term deal. If you get Rodon on a long-term deal, I have my concerns. Javi must not have gotten the chicken parm. Again, I think there's a lot of people just speaking things as if they know what's transpiring right now. When in reality, they're assuming. No different than how I'm just sharing my personal opinion with you guys at the moment. You pray we wake up to good Baez news? We might. Again, we might or we might not. We might not find out any Baez news before the lockout, you know? We don't know right now. Does Rodon have a QO attached to him? No, he does not. Have a good night, Remy. Appreciate you chiming in. You know, that's fair. I'm glad you brought that up about Bryant, about he can go to corner outfield so he wouldn't block Beatty, because I made that same point in the past. I don't know why, I just wasn't thinking about it for a minute. So that's fair. That's a good counter. Having said that, though, there's reasons as to why it makes sense for the Mets to keep Baez, and there's reasons as to why the Mets would go after Bryant. I would be happy with either of them, but I really, really like that duo between Baez and Lindor in that infield. I think I would be more. Let me put it this way: if Baez never played a game for the Mets and they never trade for him, I would be more on the Bryant train. But because I've already had that taste of Baez and the potential there is going forward, that's really why I'm feeling the way that I am with wanting him back. A lot of potential there. I'm going to stay up probably till midnight or 1 o'clock. I'm getting off the live stream, though, in under 10 minutes, though. Once we hit 3 hours in the live stream, we're at 9 minutes away right now. So if you guys have your final questions, comments, or concerns over these next 9 minutes or so, make sure to let me know, as always, and I'll address them. And again, more than anything, thank you all so much, everyone that chimed in the live stream tonight. Always popping off, not surprised. We're getting awfully close to just 12K already. I think we're just around halfway there, at least at 11.5. So again, thank you so much for that, folks. Help us get 12K. Help us get to, I think, did we get 700 likes on the stream? If we did, that's pretty awesome. Thank you so much for that. Yes, we did. You guys are beautiful. Appreciate all the support with the likes and the subscriptions. Do I follow the New York Rangers? Yes, they're my favorite team. And I have a New York Rangers podcast at WardyNYM on YouTube or Rangers Review, wherever you get your podcasts. Edward does like players who make contact. So he does, but I do think that Baez is far worth going after. Baez makes contact, and when he does, it goes far. Was listening the whole time. Oh, thank you so much, Insanity. I appreciate that. What relievers you want, think we should sign? Right as you see on the board. Andrew Chafin, I would love for the Mets to get. Would be in favor of Tyler Rogers as well. Taylor Rogers, Tyler's his twin brother. That's, a submariner right-hander for the Giants. That was a stud this year. Other pitchers, bullpen-wise, I'm blanking on someone right now. McHugh, who is a free agent from the Tampa Bay Rays. I wouldn't mind at all. I like him. Daniel, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, a lot of traction on the channel, and I'm always beyond humble and grateful for that. JD Davis for Kimbrel cash? No. Trevor Rogers for the Marlins is very, very good. Yes, he's going to continue to carve up the Mets for years to come, unfortunately. So upset about the Baez news, man. Guys, stop drawing conclusions. Just because one person on Twitter who is as inaccurate more than they are accurate says that they believe that, Mets are out on Baez should not mean that you put stock into it. Now, if Tim Healy's report holds true that the Mets don't do anything else, then that'll be unfortunate, but it's still not going to denounce how amazing of an offseason they've had at this point, up until the lockout. So again, don't view things as end all, folks. If we did, then, we would never believe any of the things that have transpired at this point have happened. Just don't put stock in things too much until we get real significant sources continuing to give us information and really getting us to the point of a decision being made, whether it's a positive or a negative one. If the Mets make a trade, who will it be for? I mean, Andy Martino did propose a deal with the A's regarding Sean Manaea, which would make a lot of sense for the Mets if they can get him at the right price. The southpaw that we discussed earlier in the stream. So make sure to backtrack if you haven't already. There are trade options for the Mets, absolutely, but they will be reluctant to do any trades unless it's regarding someone, unless it's regarding guys that are on their current roster. I don't see them trading prospects much. No, Stroman. I don't think Stroman's likely. Do I have any bold predictions for the rest of the offseason? Kershaw retires. I don't see that happening. That's bold, though. That's really bold. Bold predictions for the offseason? Bold prediction for the offseason. Both the Yankees and the Dodgers don't do anything of significance for agency-wise. They may make some trades, but my bold prediction is that both the Yankees and the Dodgers don't do anything of significance other than just simple mid to lower level signings. Terrible prediction. You asked for a bold prediction. There's a reason why it's bold and not likely. It's why you do a bold prediction. At 11-11, a wish for Mets to Baez. Yes, I will definitely do that. I'll be off stream for it, but I will definitely do that no less. Baez will sign with the Padres tonight. Padres would be thankful to sign anyone this offseason. Will the Max signing newspaper go up on the middle of my wall? Absolutely, yes. I mean, especially if Baez ends up leaving, I'm gonna put Mad Max right there. But I really, really do hope that we keep Baez. Really, really do. Hudson not good enough for me, Wardy? No, it's not. It's not groundbreaking. No. White Sox showing interest in Clint Frazier. That would make sense for depth options, outfield wise. Do I think there are cliques in the Mets clubhouse? Absolutely. Everyone has their own clique, their own group, 100%. And that's not just for the Mets. That's for every clubhouse, especially if you have people of, like different ethnicities. Especially if you say have like a Spanish group, you have just maybe you have African American group. There are a lot of times they're like divided, but it's not in a bad way or anything. It's just so they all have their closer friends and stuff like that. People that they resonate well with, that have a better familiarity with each other, that type of thing. But it's not a bad thing. It's the case in most clubhouses, I would assume. What's up, James? How's it going, my man? It's my coolest piece of Mets memorabilia. Coolest piece of Mets memorabilia has to be the Endy Chavez catch sign that was sent to me by a great subscriber, member, and friend on the channel. And a $20 donation. Thank you so much, Kane. I really appreciate in the chat for Kane. Thank you so much for that. Stroman's tweet today about a new son joining his family. Seems like a new puppy being adopted. Does anyone else think this? Strange way to make the announcement. I did not see that at all, to be quite honest with you. I have no clue. I'll double check quick, but I did not see any of that. So I haven't been on Stroman's Twitter at all today. Yeah, I think it was about his dog. I don't. Yeah, he said my son is arriving in this world super soon. Beyond excited to meet our new addition to the family and my new best friend. I don't know. Maybe he is actually having a kid. I'd hope for his sake he's actually having a kid. It would be a little bizarre if it was like a puppy. I'm gonna go with the notion that's a kid, but we'll see. Appreciate the donation, Kane. And guys, with that being said, that is going to wrap things up for this live stream. Hope you guys did enjoy. Thank you all so much for the likes, the subscriptions, the donations. It always does mean the world to me, folks. We'll probably be back live at some point tomorrow, hopefully with some good news. Again, the Mets may be done before the lockout. They may not be done before the lockout. We're going to find out hopefully soon over the next day or so. But no less, thank you all so much for the support. It really, really does mean the world to me. Love the live stream, love the support, and just know how much every single one of you guys I really do love and appreciate. So, guys, thank you so much. We will be back live hopefully sometime soon, and I will definitely catch you guys then. So, have a great night, folks. Hopefully, we get some news within the next, 12 to 24 hours. Have a great night, folks. Peace out. And, of course, let's go Mets. Max Scherzer is, in fact, a New York Met, baby. That's got to feel good. Talk to you guys later.